Hello and welcome to the third of hopefully many of the Tower Wizard podcast. It's a podcast where we discuss anything that enters our pretty little heads. And for those who are new to listening to this or are listening to this in the future, Tower Wizard LLC is a company of strange, enigmatic figures living in a strange, cross-dimensional wizard tower where we eschew the laws of physics. They simply don't exist or seem to apply, and we create the best of content using our mystical powers of bullshit. Speaking of, this podcast is brought to you by Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Tasha's Hideous Laughter, for when you don't want the laughter to stop, ever. Also brought to you by Scrying, for when you really need to find that lost remote, but can't seem to remember what realm of hell you happen to just leave it in. Yeah, that's our sponsors for the week. It's some pretty strange spells, but yeah, it is what it is. Joining us today, we have Bryson.
Hello.
Oh my God, you did it this time. All right.
I've learned.
Good. We have Kyle.
Hey.
You horrible bastard changed my notes to some fucked up font that isn't Comic Sans.
Yeah. I don't like Comic Sans, and I'm just trying to screw with you. I'm trying to catch you off guard.
You did, because I'm very upset now. I like Comic Sans. It's nice and big and easy for me to read.
How about we do Impact, and then you can be all like, I can has cheeseburger. And
How about we just use a normal font?
I'm going to use Comic Sans from here on out for everything, so there's that. Anyway, today is going to be kind of a strange podcast. We're going to record a portion of it now, and then, which really doesn't matter to you, the listener. We're going to record a portion of it later with Scott, the creator and owner and everything of Tower Wizard LLC, who we've been desperately trying to get on the podcast for the past 2 episodes, now 3 episodes, and his computer's been screwed, and that's how kind of we record everything, obviously. And since I'm in Texas, being your strange, enigmatic, faceless host, as I've been saying. I obviously can't, be there to fix anything or set up any recording. We have to do everything via the internet, the beautiful, beautiful internet. So if, obviously his computer's screwed, we can't record with him. So today's going to be a kind of a split segment, and there's going to be an intro to the next one as well, technically, a re-intro, some cut along the way to let you know, hey, Scott's here. He's ready. He's ready to talk. He's ready to bring you the news, the greatest updates, the latest updates to fucking Tower Wizard. So now that I've sworn once in this podcast, said fuck.
Yes, I thought you said you weren't going to do that.
I didn't say I wasn't going to do that. I said we're going to talk about it.
Oh, okay, we're going to talk about it
in our pre-show. One of the things I kind of got brought to my attention was my overabundance of the word fucking. My mother tried to listen to the podcast, and she said, I really tried. I really did, but I can't listen to my son say fucking every other word. And I do. I swear way too much. I've realized this. I worked in retail where I had to try and not swear at all. And I swear almost every other word out of my mouth is a swear word, especially when I'm at work. And that's something I kind of want to talk about. I've been thinking about it since it was told to me that I swear too much, and it's been brought up even by Scott. Actually, he talked about how I just swear absolutely too much whenever we have any kind of conversation, and I'm trying not to swear right now because it's my placeholder. It's like an for me is saying fucking or shit or fuck. All of those are like a placeholder for me to continue my thought. So I kind of want to talk to you guys about it, see what you think about swearing in general. Like, what do you, as millennials, where language gets more and more vulgar? I kind of want to talk to you guys about that.
Well, my favorite movie is The Big Lebowski. So I don't mind hearing a few fucks and fucking rug.
Fucking rug, dude.
I don't mind it so much. Like, the people use it. I don't see reasons for me to really use curse words, and I don't use them on purpose at all. I mean, I have occasionally said something, but for the most part, I try not to. And in terms of this, I think we should try to keep this as family friendly as possible when we
Well,
Um,
can.
that's actually the thing. Like one of the things I've been thinking about as well is, obviously I know you don't swear. You never swear.
I
Bryce
have, just not very often.
Bryson never swears, and if he does, something went horribly wrong. Like he is the whenever I see him swear, he is livid. Like he cannot get any angrier, and then he swears, and it's a huge deal. Like, oh my God, Bryson swore. Oh, this is bad. Like he is pissed, which Bryson pissed is like my normal. So there's kind of a perspective thing there. But yeah, like I don't know, like we're millennials. Obviously, we're all 25 or 26. I don't know how old you people are. I know I'm 25. I look like I'm 35. And if you ever see a picture of me, I've got cold, dead, sagging, lidded, baggy eyes, and I'm bald, and I've got a great big bushy beard. A great big bushy beard, as one of our friends likes to put it. Um,
Yeah, you're beating
so,
me in that department again.
well, yeah.
I
So,
found out that the kid from Even Stevens, Beans was his name.
yeah.
He looks pretty much like a 40-year-old man, but he's 1 year younger than I
And
am.
it's actually strange how it happens. Like my dad, who's actually going to be visiting me here in a couple weeks. It, I think it's genetic because my dad has always looked older than he is, and I've always looked older than I am. Like we've gone. There was one instance we went to a store, a supermarket, and some lady was like, "Hey, I don't know how the conversation started." But she's like, "Oh yeah, you brought your 20-something-year-old son to, you guys shop together. That's really cool." And he's like, 20 something. I'm like, 20 something. He's like, 20 something. What are you talking about? She's like, he's like, "How old do you think I am?" She's like, "Yeah, 40s, 50s, or whatever." And at that time, I was like 15, and he was 35. No, yeah, he was 35. Yeah. He's like, I'm 35 and he's 15. She's like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah, lady, you just insulted the both of us." Like, kind of not as much of an insult to me because obviously it's cool to look older when you're younger. Now it's not so cool to look older when I'm younger because by the time I hit 35, God, it's gonna be rough. Like, I don't even want to think about what I'm gonna look like when I
Yeah,
hit 35.
I think there's a very small window there where it's cool, and then you're like, oh dear.
Right. Like when I hit 16, when people are like, "Oh yeah, you're in college," I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Not in college, but yeah, cool. It makes me feel good. Once I hit like 18, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're like what, 26, 27?" I'm like, this will be bad really soon. Um, I know we mentioned before we worked at FedEx, and you know, we had a game we used to play. Me and a few other people on our line. Whenever we get a new person or new people, we'd play the game. How old is Justin? And we'd have people guess, and I got as high as 40 at
Oh,
that
you
time.
should have had me guess when I was there.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, that's cheating. Like people, the lowest I usually get is about 28, which is nice. I think I might have gotten 27, but yeah, usually get about 28 to 30, um, if not older.
So, by the way, I found out the name of the kid that played as Beans. His name is Stephen Anthony Lawrence, and I can send a picture of him to you guys if you want.
Do it, dear God in heaven. That man looks old.
He's
What
got a receding hairline, a comb over. He's 25.
What's sad is if I grew my hair out, that's exactly how I'd look. I'm not
You know
kidding.
what? He doesn't look that bad though. I
It's
have
the
to say,
hair.
like, yeah,
It is the hair.
he's
Like when I had my hair grown out longer, like now I get like 28, 27, maybe 30. Before my hair was grown out, I would get 30s constantly.
yeah. So that's before I grew my beard out, I was always getting like 18, 19. When I was like 23, I think, yeah, I had a job where I had to handle alcohol, and one of my managers said, "Oh, you're not allowed to do that, are you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm 23. I'm allowed to drink the stuff if I wanted." And yeah, so Sorry, I don't mean to put you down there.
That's actually very funny because I got fired from a job. Well, I wasn't really fired because it was like a weird contracting thing. I used to, with my family, we would mulch BPs, and I was told eventually I couldn't do it because they found out that I was 16. They thought I was over 21 at the time because I looked like I was over 21. I mean, I've had a receding hairline since I was 15, and I've had a beard ever since as well. I always had scruff, and they're like, "Oh, you're not 18 years old. You're not 21 or whatever. I think it was 18. 18, which you had to be to work at a BP where they sell alcohol. They're like, you're not 18 years old. I'm like, no. And then eventually, my family was told like, hey, you can't have him on the job because we serve liquor here. Like you can't do it. I'm like, what? Are you
Is that
serious?
seriously a rule?
That is seriously like if you
If
work in
you're
places.
mulching, you're not allowed to have someone working there.
It doesn't matter what it is. Like so long as you work at a place that has liquor being served, you have to be 18 years old or older. I think that's in Ohio. I don't know about anywhere else. I really don't, but I know in Ohio that's the case.
Because,
So
yeah, that's a stupid rule.
I agree. I wanted the money. I was getting paid. I was getting paid every time I did a job, and it was great. But yeah, they served alcohol there.
that's too bad.
It's like
Yeah,
every gas station here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single gas station that doesn't serve alcohol, or not serve, but sell alcohol.
I think I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but I think in Pennsylvania they're not allowed to sell alcohol in like gas stations or something, or maybe it's on a certain day. I can't remember.
They can't sell them on Sundays. They have to have specific places. Like all the alcohol at the Giant Eagle I worked at was in one specific place, and you can only buy it from that register. It's a lot more restricted.
Well,
Yeah.
that's actually like that's how it is in Ohio with the state liquor stores being bought out by Giant Eagle. There is a small section in the Giant Eagle, which for anyone who's listening that's not from Ohio, which I don't think it is, because everyone we know is in Ohio and pretty much everyone we know is the ones listening to it. But you have to go in, and there's a small, basically a mini store inside of the store that you can only buy liquor there. You can't take it out. You can't purchase it at the other. You have to buy it there. It's actually another funny story about how old people think I am. One of my favorite stories to tell to kind of reinforce the point that I look older than I am usually, and this is what I think. This is when I had hair still. I don't think I had shaved my head yet. It was pretty close. It was one of the reasons why I said screw it. Finally, I'm shaving my hair, shaving my head because my receding hairline is so damn bad. I went up to buy some liquor. I had some Fireball. I had some vodka, whatever. Um, I think it was Fireball and vodka. Um, Went up to the register. There's a lady in front of me. She looked like she was in her 40s, I think. I was guessing. Maybe late 30s, early 40s. And the lady at the counter and the lady that was buying her liquor were talking about it, and she's like, "Yeah, I didn't card you because there's a little sign, there's a little placard on the counter, and if you look like you're under 37, you'll get carded." And she carded that lady, and they were having a conversation about it, and then the lady left, and they were all shocked. It's like, "Oh yeah, you don't look a day older than 33 or whatever." And I'm like, okay, whatever, that's fine. I put my stuff on the counter. I'm like, hey, I want the little bottle of that, and that'll be it. And I don't know what it was, but I didn't get carded. I'm pretty sure it's because I look old as dicks, but it is what it is. I didn't get carded, and I'm like, crap, I forgot something. I went out of my car, I put my stuff in, and I'm like, I gotta go back. I gotta grab something for Scott. He asked me to pick him up some. It was either Jack Daniels or Jack Daniels
Does it
or
really matter which it is?
Captain Morgan. I think it was Jack Daniels. I think I bought him a little bit of Jack Daniels. So I went back in, I grabbed some Jack Daniels, and I grabbed something else, and I went back to the counter. I still didn't get carded again. So obviously, apparently, I looked older than 37. It's the strangest thing. Either the lady just doesn't have a good filter for age as a summation for males, or I just look old. And I think it's just that I look old because everywhere I go, the only time I get carded anymore is when I go to a place that mandatory cards. Like when we would go to bars up in Kent, I would just, if they didn't ask for everyone's ID, I would just go in and be like, "Hey, what's up?" And they'd be like, "All right, go in, you old fuck." But But yeah, it's a really strange thing.
Yeah, there's been times where I haven't been carded with my beard. When I have a
Yeah.
full on beard, they won't card me.
Well, that's the thing. You need to have a full on beard. I don't know why you don't all the time. You have,
Because I cycle. I will get a long beard, then we'll shave it off, and then let it grow again, and then I'll shave it off, and it's
what
about a
is
2 month
this?
cycle.
What is this shaving? I shaved my beard when I moved down here to Texas for the first time in 2 years. Like, dude, I haven't shaved in 2 years. How do you shave? Like, I don't get it. I
I
can't.
have a trimmer, and then I run it through it, and then I let
Like,
it grow out again.
I can't fathom a world where I have to do that. Like, either I'm just lazy or to the point where I'm just like, fuck it. I don't want to shave. It's too much work. Like, I used to shave every day or every other day. Um, back when I was a young lad and needed to, and I I don't know, had another person I had to impress in my life. Um, but since then, like I think I've shaved in 5 years. I think I've shaved less than 5 times.
I've shaved more than 5 times in 5 years because I worked at Pizza Hut.
Well, yeah, you worked at a place that you
I'm
had to.
surprised you get away, Kyle, with having facial hair. Actually, come to think of it,
Oh, well, I mean, a lot of the people that work there have facial hair, and our manager is pretty good about it. The only thing is that if we're gonna get audited or whatever, and I'm gonna be working around food, I have to wear one of those beard net things.
I despise those.
I would rather wear a
But yeah,
beard
we're
net.
allowed to
I would
'Cause
rather wear a beard net than
shave.
shave.
when I was there, it
Absolutely.
was either you have a goatee or you shave.
Like
Mm.
I don't I would full
It's
on like hazmat suit myself just to keep a beard.
like we're allowed to have beards. We just have to like use a beard net if we're going to be working around the food.
That's fair. I mean, I understand that.
I was a driver too, so the only thing I was near was the wing fryer, usually. And it might have been because I was a driver too.
Wings. I should buy some wings later.
I have a bunch of frozen ones in the basement that I'm half tempted to make.
Mail them.
I'm not gonna mail you some wings.
Mail them.
They're no,
Mail them.
no.
Mail them.
Buy your own.
Mail them. Look, I don't like going out to the. I honestly wish like I live in Austin, but I don't live in Austin. Hell, I don't even live in Travis County. I live outside of Austin, north, and it really makes me sad because all of the apps I've heard of that deliver things, they don't go this far. It's
Yeah,
really upsetting because that's the one thing I was excited about when I got here, or one of the things I was excited about when I got here. I'm like, I don't have to leave my house. I can just be like, hey, bottles, bring me some bottles. All right, some grocery shit. All right, bring some grocery shit. All right, fucking. I want this food from this place. Bring it to me. But I live so far away that I can't get delivery for anything out here, especially because my address doesn't. I'm in a brand new house. I don't on a brand new road. My address just doesn't exist to people. It doesn't exist in Google Maps, so I can't order anything. Like I tried to get pizza one time, and the pizza guy got lost.
I got lost a couple of times delivering pizza to people.
Yeah,
But that was just there's this one development over here that still isn't on our map.
that's pretty sad.
Yeah, that was like 2 years. I doubt it's still on there. Hey, Kyle, is that development on the map yet?
No. In fact, yesterday I had to type in like a lady's address, which everyone said like, "Oh yeah, we deliver there." I typed it in and the computer didn't recognize it. So
And
no, there's a lot of things.
for
on there.
nobody that's listening, but for Covan's sake, it's over by Rockneys.
Oh, okay.
It's on East Howe Road.
Yeah, I was about to say how.
Yeah, it is.
That's
It
how that
is.
sounds about right.
It's over sort of by the that six-way intersection.
5 Corners.
Yeah. So, But anyways, now that we've completely gotten everyone else confused, how about we do? Is there anything else we want to say about swearing? I guess that answers our question.
No, yeah,
All right.
there's some stuff I want to say about swearing. Like, the point I was trying to make earlier was, what do you guys think as millennials? Like, do you think
I'm
that
not
family?
normal. That's what I think.
You're not normal.
I don't count.
Whatever. And Kyle's really not normal either. But I'm gonna ask anyway. Like, what do you think about swearing? Like, do you think it's amoral or immoral to swear? Like, my personal
No.
opinion is I don't really care. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't think it's immoral. I don't think it's wrong. I think swearing is just it's just words. I don't think that it has any sort of venom behind it. It for me, like I said, it's a placeholder like
Yeah.
or it's a way to I keep cutting you off, I'm sorry, but it's a way to I don't emphasize what I'm trying to say.
Okay. My thing is more about it as if I think swear words should be reserved so that they have impact. And I don't think you really need to be saying them a ton because then that kind of lessens the whole point of even swearing. It's just like, okay, it's another word you're using.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I've heard that point made quite a few times, and I agree. I would have to say that as a millennial, I think that the next generation is actually going to swear a lot more than we do, Generation Z or whatever. Because, and here's why. One, a lot of these Let's Players or whatever that all the like little kids seem to like, they all swear like truckers. I mean, PewDiePie drops an F-bomb like several times. I don't really watch him, but I know he swears a lot.
He does swear a lot, yeah.
Yeah, Markiplier as well. And
Have you ever
let's-
watched The Achievement Hunters?
Oh my god, yeah, they swear they swear up and down. Like, that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say though. Like, do you think it takes away from the family friendly aspect? Because like I keep saying like because I'm trying not to swear. I'll keep saying like I'm a fucking valley girl. 'Cause I'm trying not to say fucking because that's
Oh
my
no,
like.
it's so much
You
like
used
that
both.
thing over there. I'm terrible.
What's that? What's that, Kyle?
you used both just now.
I did use both.
Like a fucking valley girl, like, gag me with a spoon.
Okay,
That's
Kyle,
the thing. That's
you
the
did
thing.
it
Like
better than I
I
did.
don't. Yeah, you did. He did it way better. That was Frank Zappa, right?
Frank. Oh, yeah. No, it was Moon Unit Zappa, I think.
I think
It was
you're right. I think you're right.
one of the Zappas.
It was definitely a Zap. Yeah, it was Moon. Yeah. Because that was all about she was impersonating the girls she had at school. Anyway, big digression. I'm surprised that you know who Frank Zappa is.
I don't.
That's
You don't?
interesting.
I know the name, but I don't really know who he is.
He's basically the pre Weird
He was
Al.
proto Weird
okay.
Al.
Yeah, he was
That's
one of
probably
the
why.
first.
Don't go where the bad dogs go. Don't you eat no yellow snow.
Yeah, he was the proto version of
Weird Al.
no,
Yeah.
I was gonna say the genre.
Oh yeah, like parody songs and
Yeah,
stuff.
parody song comedy. He was the first version of that. I mean, it happened before, but
Dr. Demento type of thing.
yeah, he was kind of the first one that did it. First one that popularized it. Anyway,
So
like I wouldn't. I don't think I could, in good consciousness, like if it wasn't something graphic, say no, you can't watch that to a child because it has swearing in it. Like I don't view. I know the generation before me, like my parents' generation, they see swearing as something that, yeah, it was reserved for something that's truly awful and bad. And we live in an age of such hyperbole that swearing to me doesn't seem that awful. Like you keep raising the bar of what language does, and when I say fucking, like it's not sweet fucking Christ, we have to avert this crisis, you goddamn bastard. And it's not something he swore he must be truly serious. I just say fucking like, dude, come on, man. Fucking jeez. Why'd you put the fucking toast in the toaster? It doesn't even go there. It's already toast. You don't have to toast it again. You're just wasting power. Some situation like that. Like it's completely and utterly worthless to use a swear word as this truly outrageous part of your vernacular. Like it's to me completely harmless. It's just another word. I don't associate any sort of venom or seriousness or clout or gravity with the word fuck or cunt. Cunt. I love the word cunt. Louis C.K. has a huge bit about the word cunt, and I think it's. I use the word cunt daily. I yell that at boxes, like inanimate objects. I call them cunts. I just don't care. I don't know what it is. Like I get yelled at when I was a kid by saying when I mispronounced could and it was close to cunt, and my mom's like, "You never say that." I'm like, I don't know even what I said. I don't know. Like that's just the way I think about it.
Yeah. So, here's another thing that sort of makes me feel like Generation Z is going to swear a lot more. So, my cousin, who is she's like 10 years older than me, but so I guess that's Generation X. Maybe it's still a millennial. I don't know.
No, if she's 10 years older, she'd be like the last end of Generation X. Generation X was they were teenagers and in their 20s in the 90s.
Yeah. She was like a teenager in the early 2000s,
In the early
I
2000s,
think.
she's a teenager.
Or maybe not.
If
I
she's
don't
10
remember.
years older than you, she would have been 15 in 1995.
Oh, yeah, actually. Never mind. Okay. Wait, 10 years older than me in 1995?
If she's 10 years older than you, you would have been 5 in 95, right? Or 6.
Oh, yeah, you're okay. Good
She
point.
would have been 15 in
Well,
95.
either way, she acts like what I imagine a millennial would act like. She is on Instagram a lot. She Instagrams a lot of stuff. She is on. I don't think she's quite 10 years older than me. I think she's probably younger than that. But still, like, she goes on Instagram a lot. She goes on Twitter. She's very internet savvy, uses a lot of hashtags, that sort of thing. And she has two daughters, both of my second cousins. And she lets them swear, but not in front of guests or at other people's houses, and not directed at anyone. So they're allowed to do what you do, basically, and say, this is fucking bullshit," or
It is fucking bullshit. You're right.
yeah,
Okay.
and they know what the N word is. They're not allowed
Well,
to use it.
well, that's
They
the thing.
said
Like,
it's derogatory, and
I, I was
definitely not allowed to use it.
I was gonna say I don't really swear at people, but I just right before the podcast called you guys fucks. So that's out the window already. But I don't know. Like
I am deeply hurt.
you fucking piece of shit. Like you just fucking calm down. All right. Panty waste. I actually really like that insult, and I hate it at the same time because it to me that's like a really dirty insult. Panty waste. Do you guys know what that means?
Nope.
Um,
I don't know if I want to.
It's not. Trust me, it's not as bad as you think it is. Kyle,
Okay.
Kyle, do you want to take a stab at what you think panty waste means?
Panty waist just means someone you can, though with a lot of elasticity, so they
Nope.
can bend and snap. I don't know.
Bryson, I know you have no guess, but you have to guess. What do you think a panty waste is?
Someone who hugs a lot.
Wow. I mean, the panty. Okay, I just
I don't know. I just
I
randomly
talked
guessed.
about it last podcast. I rewatched things. I'm rewatching Dragon Ball Z, which by rewatching I mean I'm taking a nap before work and throwing that on, and I don't have to look at it because I already know what the fuck's gonna happen because they're just gonna blow stuff up and throw energy beams and fight and sit there and go for
Clipping.
yeah. Anyway, um, Piccolo says panty waste. That's actually kind of what got me on that. A panty waste, from my understanding of the word, is basically wasted cum.
Okay. Actually,
Schmegma?
that makes sense when I think about it.
Right, it's wasted genetic material. It's like it's not even you're not even making anything. It's just wasted. That's my understanding. I can look up the official definition right now, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I think I've looked it up before. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's wasted genetic material. Goddamn Google, stop being a piece of shit. Yeah, it's yeah. It's used to describe someone who's a pansy, but the etymology of it is just the wasted genetic material in panties. But yeah, like that seems harsher to me than calling someone a fuck. Like I just don't see any meaning. Again, we've talked about my vernacular 3 times now in 3 different podcasts, or as many podcasts. But this part of my vernacular is something that isn't that venomous. I don't know.
I don't know.
So
All I can say is
yeah,
language is changing.
Language is
yeah.
obviously changing. It's been changing for a long time. Like I remember when I was 13 or 14, I swore, and I did it because it was an act of rebellion. Like that was the most rebellious I got, was I'd swear. Like, I was a very rebellious child. I would just swear and be like, "Ah, I swore." And now it's just I'm swearing because that's what I do. I'm not doing it for any sort of rebellious reasons. I'm not swearing because it's anything super serious. I just fucking say fucking all the time. I'm trying to swear less. I am trying to swear less though, so you know, because I know there are people out there that, like my mother, who's like, I can't listen. You're just fucking saying fucking so much, and I keep saying it, and I can't stop myself.
You have said it like 3 times in the last minute, maybe a little more.
Yeah, I've said it too many times, but it's many times less than the last podcast we had.
Yes.
I
So
think we've talked out swearing, which is something I really wanted to talk about. I really wanted to kind of get an opinion about what you guys think about swearing in the modern age, especially on TV. Actually, there's one more point. One more point. Someone I dated back in high school, they were allowed to swear. They weren't allowed to say fuck or shit, but they were allowed to say damn or bastard. It was cable swearing. Like, what do you think about what do you think about kids cable swearing? It's something I asked my dad if I could do, and he's like, "Fuck no." Like, you
I think
hypocrite.
it's just
is
as
it?
bad.
Yeah.
I think there's no real difference. I
Why?
mean, because a swear word is a swear word, and
Well, actually, no. Okay, we're not done with swearing because I need to know what makes swearing so bad. Like,
because
what is
people
bad
said
about
it
it?
was.
That's it. That's the only reason. There's just some authority figure told you at one point that it was bad to swear, so therefore it's bad to swear.
Yeah, that's pretty much about
It's
the.
the meaning behind the words, the context, the cultural context, that sort of
It's
thing.
a cultural
Like,
thing.
yeah, if you dropped the c word on
Cunt.
a woman,
Oh,
yes,
cunt. If I said you cunt,
on a girl,
sure.
yes, and that's kind of. I mean, sorry to SJW here, but that's a little problematic because that's a word that has a history of degrading women.
What if I called her a
And
bitch?
okay, that's fine.
Slutty whorebag.
Bitch can be applied to men and women.
Yeah,
Slutty
but
whorebag, that can be applied to men and women.
I actually think it's more offensive for men because it calls them a pansy. For a
Yeah.
bitch, it just means you're kind of a bitch.
Yeah, slutty whorebag, though, that means that you sleep around a lot and you
So
should be ashamed of
you think
yourself.
that cunt is worse than slutty whorebag?
Well, I mean, if you use the N-bomb on a black guy, would you do you think it would have a different impact than if you used the N-bomb on a white guy?
I hate the word M-bomb, but yes. But I don't know. It kind of depends on who you're talking to. Like I don't use the word just out of honestly out of sheer laziness anymore. Like I've used it in private conversation because I know the people that I use it with are also white people like me, and it's the juxtaposition of super white guy using that word.
Yeah,
It's funny, and I would love to put it out there, but I'm so lazy that I don't want to have to deal with any sort of person saying, "Hey, that's offensive," and having to deal with that backlash. That I don't do it. Like it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm ashamed that I would use the word for comedy's sake, because I'm not. It's just the fact that I'm so tired and jaded all of the time that I'm like, fuck it. I don't have the time or the energy to deal with some fuck who doesn't understand the reason behind me using that word. And I don't have the time for them to put the venom in it because I don't have any venom in it. I'm never going to use it to degrade another human being. Just like the word retarded. Like we've talked about this many times before. I'm never going to use that word to degrade another human being because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for comedy.
Right. So I agree with you on that. But words that have a history of, being used as directed toward one specific type of person. I just can't use those words.
I don't know. I feel like someone's being fun,
Except
being a cunt.
except for okay, so this might get me a little bit of backlash here, but faggot and when people say that's so gay,
You get me on that all the time.
I used to because I thought it was funny.
You know how
Think
frustrated
before,
I get.
yeah, think before you speak. There was this group. I don't know if they're still around, but
I don't know either. I haven't heard any of those ads, but I don't really watch TV anymore. But yeah, those ads were everywhere.
yeah,
I don't remember.
they have Penny Arcade actually did a comic on it, and they really hit home about why it was so worthless. Is because Tycho said, "Well, I think this is a noble idea, but I don't think it's going to hit home with the people who, it's actually made for." And then who's the other one again?
I don't know.
Tycho and Gabe. Yeah, and then Gabe said, "I don't know. I think it's kind of gay."
It was pretty gay. It was really gay. But not in the homosexual kind of way. It was just stupid.
I think the ultimate answer to your question, Covan, is that curse words, swear words are not determined by one group of people. As a culture, we somehow decide what the swear words are, and as time goes on, that's going to change, and it is changing, like we just said.
So that actually brings me to a point that it's not on our topic list, obviously, because I'm going to talk about it. We're going to get to the second point on our topic list later because I really want to talk about it. But something this idea I've been kind of cultivating, and I don't know if it's an actual thing because I don't read enough anymore, but it's the idea of microcultures. It's something I've kind of been thinking about for a long time. When you have cliques, those are a microculture, and then you kind of break down culture to an individual basis. Because I have my own culture, and I have my own microculture that involves certain people in certain aspects of life. And I think swearing is defined by a microculture. It's defined by the individual, and it's defined by the people that are associated with that individual and the people around them, because that's what a microculture is the individual and then the people revolving around them. And everyone is their own microculture with their own people revolving around them, and everyone's kind of revolving around each other. And it's a weird kind of thing to think about because everyone thinks about a culture as like, oh, yes, the American culture. Like, well, okay. You can break that down so many different levels. Like you can go Ohioan culture, then Northeast Ohio culture versus South Ohio culture.
Yeah, like over in Pittsburgh, they call shopping carts a buggy. It annoyed the heck out of me.
And well, it's just the way it goes. Like you have cultures that get broken down into certain levels that have certain strata of things that are different from other cultures of that same ilk. Like, microcultures, when you get down to the point, like us as friends, we have a microculture, especially like Scott, Charlie, and I as the core of the company have a completely different microculture to another company, even ones we're associated with. And we have different cultures as friendships compared to other people who have different kinds of friendships. And I think that taboos are designed by those cultures, those microcultures, and then kind of pushed upwards. So when I decide that swearing really isn't that bad in my microculture, and you can say whatever the fuck you want to say, it's basically like me casting a vote in the macro culture of American culture, or worldwide linguistic culture, or English linguistic culture, and other votes out there are based on those microcultures, and that kind of defines macro culture. I would love to study sociology so I can kind of throw those theories out there if they haven't been thrown out there, because I think macro and microculture are a big thing. Like, I don't think it's something people talk about enough, is the idea that there is such a thing as a microculture. Like when you have labels like nerd or jock or anything like that, those are kind of associative to microcultures versus a macroculture of just everything. Or rather, the individual has their own microculture that associates itself with what a jock or a nerd is. Like, nerds now are completely different from nerds before, like I talked about last podcast. And I realize I'm talking too much again. But we talked about a last podcast where nerd culture has changed. It's different. It's popular now, but it's become popularized. It's become a little more mainstream, so it's a little more watered down than it used to be. You know, nerd culture way back when used to be I've learned how to code on my Apple II, and this is something no one else knows how to do, and it's a small percentage of everyone else. And you know, I sit alone in my basement coding video games on my Apple II or an operating system on my Apple II or whatever you're doing. You're putting together your own custom computer and building your own circuit boards, or you know, doing strange, weird things that no one can perceive doing because they're all, you know, being normal, as the quotation goes, which I know you hate, Kyle, because you're a social justice warrior yourself now.
Yeah, I'm more of a pacifist. I try
Kyle,
advocating
have you
for
gone
both.
PC?
You've gone PC for the term of trolling, and it's really upsetting.
I'm trying to be more of a pacifist.
No. You're not a pacifist. You're you're like a person who shoots both sides.
I'm that one bat from that Aesop fable, the war between the mammals and the birds, or something like that. Beasts and birds. That's it.
I honestly
I'm
don't know
lost.
that Aesop fable.
Oh,
You,
basically, the bat didn't know which side he was supposed to be on, so he decided to play on both sides, and neither side liked him because he was betraying them both.
and that's kind of what you are. You are the bat. Congratulations, you're the shitty Batman. Anywho,
Talking
Who
about Batman.
hangs out in City Sopa?
what was I talking about? Because I want to finish my point so we can actually talk about things and not have me soapbox.
Uh,
I lost track.
you said something about microculture, macroculture, and how being in the labels like nerds, jocks.
Oh
they
yeah,
don't-
yeah, yeah. Those have become so different and radically different from what we kind of associated them with before, like media associated with before. That those cultures have evolved. That's really kind of what I was getting at, and the microculture there, or I wish I had a better word because that's kind of a median culture. There we go, median culture, which is kind of a label or a clique. It's evolved based on microculture. It's kind of it's the strange influence of microculture and macroculture shifting to kind of become more mainstream as the microculture of nerdism became interested in things that are more and more mainstream, and the macroculture shifted towards things that are less and less mainstream via basically the cultural votes of everyone around in the culture. Which really I'm talking about American culture because that's the most important, obviously.
America.
America, fuck yeah.
I wasn't going to go that far.
I was, because I love America. I live in the most American state ever, Texas. Duh, obviously. Anyway, it's kind of shifted to a point where that culture has been completely redefined based on the differences, the ever changing culture of microcultures of nerdism and macroculture of the mainstream. Anyway, all in all, I think we've agreed that swearing, the justness of swearing, is defined on the culture. And while I am going to try and swear less because I know there are people out there offended by it, including my own mother. I'm sorry, Mom, if you're trying to listen to this again. I've sworn many, many times less than last time. There's something I kind of want to talk about because we are Tower Wizard LLC is ostensibly a game company, a board game company, card game company, whatever you want to call it. We're working on many different projects at one time. This is really
Media conglomerate.
we could call it that, but technically right now we're not. We're just releasing a podcast just so I can do something in my downtime when I'm not trying to write a game. That's really what this is. And it's something I've always wanted to do, so that's why we're doing it. I know it's something you guys have wanted to start for a long time on your own, and I figured, hell, this is a good outlet to do it. But there's something I kind of want to call homage back to, or call homage back to gaming on the tabletop, because that's really what we're all about right now. Because we are basically really what it is we're basically a failed video game company. because we could never find a programmer, and my brain doesn't work in that way. Like I tried, and I'm so ADD, and I can't program. I just can't do it.
You have to have a certain kind of mind to program really well.
The thing is, I can do it. Like I can do programming, but I can't retain programming. I'm sure if I actually tried to do it and sat down and went through a class about it, I'm just too lazy. Maybe I don't know to do it. I kept trying to do it. I'm sure I could do it, but
There's some online classes.
there are definitely online classes I've been meaning to try for a long, long time. But we never had a dedicated experienced programmer, and I have a few options still out there, and we're still optioning different things to do to maybe make a video game in the future. But ostensibly right now we're a tabletop gaming company because that's what we can do, and that's something also we really, really enjoy.
Probably the easiest thing if the card game takes off would be to make an app version of the card game.
I don't know if the app version would work. There are other games we're developing right now that apps would definitely be recommended. Can't talk about this too much right now because again, they're very early on in development, and you guys have tested them, but yeah, again, we really can't talk about them. But again, I keep talking way too much. Something I kind of wanted to really talk about, and I really wanted to get into, especially with you, Kyle, because I know you're my patron saint, especially your father is our patron saint of board games. What your favorite? Because this is very, very important to me. I'm a very big RPG fan. I'm a very big D&D fan. Kind of what your favorite settings are, what your favorite RPG settings are, even just your RPG games. Like you want to call out like a Descent or something like that, where it's not really so much a setting but a game.
My favorite RPG settings would be, well, of course I'm going to go for the obvious one, Forgotten Realms. That's one of my favorites.
Why?
But I also really... Why?
Yeah, you got to. You can't just be like, oh, here's my list, and that's it. I took up 3 minutes of time.
Okay. Well, I mean, we took up like 50 minutes just talking about swearing.
Yeah,
but
actually,
anyways.
we're probably at about 45 minutes now, I think.
Yeah, we should cut it off, but we're going to take a little bit of time to talk about role-playing games.
So, why do I like Forgotten Realms? Because it is just a massive stew of fantasy. You can just name any sort of fantasy that has been around, like sword and sorcery. They have that. They have like Tolkien-esque fantasy. They have like steampunk that's in there somewhere.
A little bit with the dwarves, I think.
Yeah. They have like what do they call it? Gothic fantasy. They have that. They have the whole pulp fiction-y sort of Indiana Jones-esque stuff.
I was gonna
the Jungles of Chult. What?
You have like the more urban pulp fiction style, like noir-esque fantasy.
Yeah, but so that it's just like a massive stew. They also have mythological stuff like ancient Egypt is in there. I believe there's a sort of Grecian type of place. Just lots of stuff. And I also I figured out why the name is called Forgotten Realms. Originally, it was because supposedly this world was connected to Earth, but then the connections were all severed. But that explains why why it resembles a lot of the fantasy, like Arthurian legends and Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, that sort of thing. Why it resembles all the stories we have from our time.
I actually did not know that. It's very interesting.
They stole my idea.
They retconned it.
Well,
no, you stole their idea.
I didn't even know they had done that. So
so that was the original one though. But they retconned it a little bit with 4th edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened in 4th edition is it turns out that this place was originally called Aber Toril when Ed Greenwood was penning it for Dragon Magazine, I believe, or Dungeon Magazine.
It was probably Dungeon. Dragon's usually a little different.
Yeah, so he was writing this thing as an example of how to build a world, and then it took off. It was originally called Aber Toril, but they changed it to just Toril when they actually published it. But they, in 4th edition, they called it Aber Toril because they went back to Aber Toril because turns out they're two different places. Toril is the place we all know and love as Forgotten Realms. Aber is another world that's similar to Forgotten Realms, but has different land layout, different kingdoms, whatever. It's just like a parallel world. Think of it as like sort of never mind. I was gonna say think of it as like Earth 1 and Earth 2 of DC, but no, I don't think that would work because there aren't parallel versions of people. It's just parallel worlds, and people had just kind of forgotten that a bear was once a part of a bear Toril. And then they just called it, they were just like, oh yeah, people used to call it a bear Toril. I don't know why, but we just call it Toril now. But it turns out there was a connection. The two of them were connected, and then the connection was severed. And a bear turned out to be the Forgotten Realms. That,
I like
and
the idea
likewise
that it's
Toril.
forgotten from Earth better.
You do?
Yeah.
I do, because I mean that's one reason why in the setting I made up that I really should actually write for.
No, you shouldn't.
You don't like my setting? Do you even
I
know
don't
what
like-
my setting is?
Probably. Bryson, I'm gonna tell you right now. I think we have very differing tastes.
Yes, we do.
I have very exacting tastes, and I think that they're very refined when it comes to role-playing game settings. I'm honestly a snob in a lot of senses when it comes to role-playing games. I don't. I like the idea of a world that once was connected to Earth, but it has to be done so incredibly well that I don't even realize it. Like Forgotten Realms, I never realized it, and then when Kyle said it, it clicked. When it's obvious that something was connected to Earth in any sort of way, it just turns me off.
Well, then you shouldn't read my story because it literally
Exact-
starts on Earth, the bit that I did write.
I remember we
Because
talked about it before because I hated it.
yeah, you probably would.
I absolutely would. I think I said I hate it. I think I told you I hate it because I'm a dick. I'm an asshole.
I don't know. I prefer the retconned version of Forgotten Realms because it's a self-contained setting.
It is,
even with the whole thing.
But the thing is that until you mentioned that it was connected to Earth at all, I didn't realize it. I didn't know. And that was okay. It was totally okay. I was totally okay with being in the dark. But she said, "Oh yeah, this at one point it was connected to Earth, and that's why it was Forgotten Realms." I'm like, "Oh, cool. That's an interesting little tidbit about it." I'm never gonna think about it in a way that it's kind of like a fan fiction because that's when anytime I hear, oh, and it's like Earth or it's connected to Earth or it's similar to Earth or anything about Earth, I'm like, well, fuck it. This is fan fiction. This is just Earth fan fiction, and I'm done.
Earth fan fiction?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What? Earth fan fiction?
You want to argue this with me?
Not
right
really.
now,
I don't want
fucker?
to argue about it right now. But I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
saying.
right. I'll fucking murder
I'm not
you.
going to argue about that right now.
Murder
So-
you.
Kyle, what's your second one?
My second one is the other obvious one, Eberron, because Eberron takes all the pulpy stuff that Forgotten Realms had and really emphasizes it, and it also adds in some more. Well, no, I didn't mention this before, but intrigue. There's a lot of intrigue in Forgotten Realms.
A lot of intrigue with the dragon cults.
Yeah. There's intrigue. There's also like sort of spy. There can be like spies and stuff like the Dark Lanterns. They're basically the CIA of the setting.
Then you have like,
and-
the Sentinel Marshals. So you have
Yeah.
like the international police. Like you're gonna have the FBI. Like that would be the FBI essentially is the Sentinel Marshals.
Yeah. So and there's also the Queen's Eyes or whatever from what was it called? On Dare.
Yeah.
The Queen's Eyes. They're sort of like a big brothery type of FBI thing. I guess no, they would be the KGB. Which is weird because they're not the Russia of
Right. They're not the Russia. Fucking Karnath.
Karnath is
the Russia, which would, I mean, the Karnathi, they have a lot of the Sentinel Marshals. In fact, I think they come out of Karnath. I don't know.
Yeah, so Eberron really emphasizes that stuff, and also they make things seem a little bit more localized. Like with Forgotten Realms, there's tons of different places you could go to. And like one small place would be like Mullerand. If you go on an adventure in Mullerand, there could be something huge going on there. Like, oh my god, there's dragons just suddenly showed up and started attacking us. Or, oh, the gods are walking among us again.
Yeah,
But
like
if you are, yeah,
like the whole thing in Cormyr, when they rediscovered Mithranor, and there's a whole huge thing there. No one really cared other than the people that were there.
right. And you go to Icewind Dale, people are like, oh, that's happening there. Oh, neat.
Yeah,
Whatever.
well,
We have our own problems.
and that's the thing. Like, there's no political intrigue involved in Forgotten Realms, whereas Eberron is all about the political intrigue. Like, nationalism is huge. That's one of the reasons, personally, why I love Eberron. Because I'm a huge national. I'm a fan of nationalism in like kind of a fictional sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like nationalism that much in a real life sense. Like, I get nationalism. I have national pride and I understand it. And
What's wrong? You don't love America? That sort of thing.
but the thing is, I do. I love America.
Right. But people are like, I think Obama should be fired from his job.
And that's
Like, I don't agree with that.
That's a jingoistic version of nationalism. If you guys don't know what a jingo is, just look it up. It's a very interesting term they used to use back in Teddy Roosevelt's time.
Huh.
No,
Yeah.
and I have no idea what you guys were talking about there for a bit there.
I don't.
Sorry. Nationalism?
No. I mean, I couldn't hear you. I had to take off my headset.
Strange.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if
didn't
you
miss
heard
much.
No.
It didn't hear anything. But that's one of the things I really, really like about Carnath, because you can kind of create an identity around that nationalism. Like, I've had 2 characters from Carnath. We've played in our two separate campaigns, which I really want to continue our 4th edition campaign of Eberron and kind of finish that out so we can start a new one. I can start my second cousin from that line. Like, I really do. I really honestly want to make.
I want to finish off my time traveling story.
Yeah, your time traveling always sucked.
Well,
I
of
like
course
it.
you think it sucks.
Yeah, I think everything here sucks.
I like it.
It's as
I don't know.
bloody story as Fallout 4.
Yeah, but it's not as fun. Like, I to be honest, I like the Fallout 4 story. I'm like, whatever. I'll take it or leave it. I'm more interested about the kid part, but like, I don't know. Here's my problem, Bryson, and all of our friends have pointed this out, especially Scott, the owner. Has pointed out, I use Bryson as a whipping boy. I just lay into Bryson. I do. I really do. And I don't know why I do it, but
My original character.
your original character is fucking terrible. But the thing is that I think everything you do feels like a fan fiction. Even if it's not a fan fiction, even if it's not, it's nothing to. I know you're not trying to, but everything you do feels like a fan fiction, and it makes me want to hate it.
Although, I mean, me and Kyle should start working on that one we were working on again.
Oh Christ, no! Don't.
Oh yeah, I like proofreading. Sorry, it's a weird thing I enjoy. Just
Kyle,
proofreading. It's like a fun activity for me.
Then let me send you all the shit that I've written.
Okay.
Because I sent it to like Buzz or whatever, and it doesn't. I don't know. I get like, you should do this. And I'm like, no. I just want you to proofread it. Maybe make some grammatical edits. See if the flow is okay. Like, I don't want you to edit the story. I don't need story edits. I just need grammatical edits and maybe some flow edits. Like, oh yeah, if you switch this paragraph to this paragraph, it flows a little bit better. Or if you maybe add a descriptor here, take out the descriptor here because it makes sense. That's proofreading.
Yeah.
Which no one seems to get. They're like, yeah, you gotta maybe if you change the story so this happens. Like, no, you're doing it wrong.
That's editorial suggestions.
Right, and I don't
Which
want
I
to
did ask for.
I don't need. Well, you need it.
I always do that for you. I always do that for you, Bryson, and you always reject them. I always end every chapter with, and then Lobo shows up.
Yeah, okay, that's because it's, and then Lobo shows
I
up.
was about to say every script Bryson wrote, I had to re-edit it. So, all right.
I never did get back Super Scott.
I think
I did. There wasn't one other thing. I decided to turn your. It's a Teen Titans. It's a mashup between Teen Titans and Marvel.
Oh my god!
I wasn't going to actually say what it was, but okay.
Oh, sorry.
My god!
Because I knew he would be like that.
Oh.
So
I
decided
had a couple drinks earlier, and I think they might be coming back.
So I decided a few chapters that I would actually sort of morph it into the amalgam. universe, so that it was, instead of it being two
I'm
separate
okay
things,
with that.
so crossing over, it would just be one big.
If you could slowly, subtly morph them in without the reader realizing. See, fan fiction has to be good, but it has to be done in a very masterful way that you don't realize it's fan fiction. The second that I'm like, this is fan fiction, I'm done. Like, I'm just absolutely done. I can't continue because I know what it is. I know what it's trying to do. I know where it's trying to go. I know what it is. It's a self-pleasing, self-involved activity, and I just know what it is from there on out, and I don't care.
Fan
Yeah,
fiction is a very fine line. Most of it is crap. I will say that honestly. But I mean, I just do it because honestly, the reason why I was writing that, and I do need to start writing it again,
No,
is
you
I
don't.
like the challenge. I just like the thought process of going, okay, I've got all these characters and stuff, all this stuff mashed together. What's going to happen? Where do I go from here?
It's
It's
a
not
it's a
specifically.
good writing exercise. No matter what you write, it's a good writing exercise if you challenge yourself in some way. But to publish it then is a self-aggrandizing, a self-involved act.
yeah.
It's a
I
very
don't think.
prideful act.
No, you haven't published it yet, have you?
No, but I would if I actually got far enough.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be like
Well,
saying, here, look at this. I'd just be like, post, see what people think.
so but that whole
Anyway,
fan fiction
uh,
thing, yeah, that's where the what happened with the whole Star Wars campaign that we did. Is one of our friends included xenomorphs in
I
it.
was pissed.
But there's nothing wrong with it per
There was
se,
everything wrong with that
but
because it
they
was
can't just
set
be
up.
straight up xenomorphs.
Well, it was though. It was set up in the such. It was set up in such a masterful way. Like the first, I came in on this mission. I think it was like I've created a character, which really I just kind of rehashed a character I've been using for Star Wars campaigns for a long, long time. Um, and I mean a long, for a decade now. At that point, it wasn't quite a decade. It was more like 5 years, but still. Um, I brought this character in, and it was already kind of established. They've been playing for a while, and I get brought in, and it's like, okay, we need to go. Well, hey, we're gonna pick you up. You're a Jedi. You know how to. Which wasn't really a Jedi. I was kind of a Force user type jig that was kind of like a
Yeah.
dark Jedi.
So, anyways, we go to this. What was it? A planet or
We
something?
we went to this planet, and there was a temple. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to a temple. That's really cool, mysterious, and might be some sort of because my character. I'm explaining this all from my point of view. My character, really was interested in the kind of mechanics of the Force and what goes into why it works the way it works, and explaining it essentially scientifically. And has always been fascinated by the mystery of the Force. I'm like, oh, we're going to this temple on this mysterious planet, and we're gonna find so much stuff, and it was very mysterious. It was very, very mysterious. That's what it was. It was a mystery to begin with, and it was suspenseful. And we would hear sounds off in the distance, and there would be rustling, and we'd do perception checks. And oh, this guy over here, he saw something shoot by, and you see these strange eggs, and the longer we went, though, the more and more I kept getting tipped off. Like this kind of sounds like aliens. But I push it back to the back of my mind. I'm like, no, this is really cool. I was really involved. And then we get to this big central chamber, which is basically the birthing chamber where they would nest people with eggs and have the aliens be born out of their tummies. And we had to fight aliens there. And he's basically like, and some xenomorphs pop up. And
At least he could have changed their names.
like he could have, and I would never have known. Well, until he described them. But
Yeah, elongated heads.
right, I fell off right there. Like
But
the second he said that, I was out.
I
I was
honestly
invested.
wouldn't care near as much. I mean, I would have been like, oh, okay. Because I like the idea of a crossover. To me, I
I
like it.
I love in universe crossovers. I love them. Like Flash and Arrow just did one. I don't think it was probably the most solid story they've ever done. I don't like how they did Vandal Savage. I prefer a different version of Vandal Savage than what they did. But I loved the whole thing because it was a crossover in universe.
Yeah.
I loved it. But what do you do?
There are things that I could have done a lot better about that, but it was still good.
It was still really good. I agree. There are things that could have done better. It felt rough.
Although, have you heard the rumors there might not be a second Legends of Tomorrow?
There might not be a show.
Well, the show's done. They're going to finish it. But I mean, there are talks of season 2, but now there are talks that the show's too expensive to make a second season.
No, I have not heard that.
I haven't heard it either. I don't.
Let's just leave it at the rumor mill.
We'll get there here in a minute with rumors and trailers, but
anyways, so
but yeah, like I was saying, like once it becomes a fan fiction, once I know that there's kind of a self-insert pridefulness to it, I'm done.
Well, see, okay, self-insert. That's the thing. If David
no. Self-insert's always terrible. I have never heard a good self-insert.
Here's the thing: you're not. I'm broadening the sense of what you think a self-insert is, because you say self-insert. Okay, Bryson Boylan's down the story. Self-insert has nothing to do with essentially the person. Is everything to do with your voice. Because when you take something like Star Wars and you insert something like Xenomorphs into it and make a crossover like that, you're inserting your own will into it. Because when you write, like if I were to go write a Star Wars story right now, I wouldn't want to write, I would write the Star Wars story I want to write, but I would do it in the voice of Star Wars. You would see almost none of me in there, other than maybe the way I put together the words, but it would have nothing to do with me. It would just have everything to do with Star Wars. And you would, ideally, if I were to write a Star Wars story right now, you wouldn't be able to tell much of the difference between many other Star Wars writers out there. Because I would try and adhere to the Star Wars formula, and I would try and make it true to the medium rather than true to myself. Because if I write a story and I write a story for me and I make my own story up, that's my voice, that's what I made up, that's who I am, and I'm putting myself into it in that regard. Because everyone does that. Whenever you create an original story, you throw yourself into it, and you can tell if you know the person. But when you create something that's in a medium, I keep taking over this fucking podcast, and I feel so bad about it.
Just thinking about that, actually, but that's okay.
And I get what you're saying, and I agree with you to a degree, but at the same time, I don't have a problem with mashing togethers. Now, if you were going to write an actual, like, if someone came to you and were like, write a Star Wars book, then yeah, I would totally agree with you. But if you're not planning on like professionally publishing something, or if it's just something you're playing like for the Star Wars campaign, I have no problem with putting the Xenomorphs in there so long as you handle it tastefully. And I personally like the idea of like going, okay, what if there was a planet with Xenomorphs on it in Star Wars with Jedi and everything? Let's see how that all plays out.
Nope.
I like the let's see how it all plays out thing.
I'm a purist.
The mental exercise there.
Nope.
Of like so you're never gonna read Batman versus Predator or Superman versus RoboCop.
I already read those books. I already read Batman versus Predator. You're not really missing much.
Did Batman win?
No, but
yes. Actually, I don't really remember.
The blunderbuss.
Yeah.
Like again, it's fine as a writing exercise. Like I'll throw myself some curveballs, or I'll Scott throw me some curveballs when I'm writing. He's like, "Hey, write this. Just write 3 paragraphs on this, or write a couple pages on this." I'm like, "All right, cool. I'll write a couple pages on this," and that's what I'll do. I'll think up. One time, I wrote an interrogation scene. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I chose a universe I don't write for. I think I wrote an interrogation scene in War Machine between the Crix and Signar. Like, there was a Signar officer being interrogated by like a Crix Lich Lord. That they were actually related at one point. Like I was interweaving all of these things. I'm like, I have all these plot points I have to hit. I've only got a couple pages I want to do it in. And here's how I'm going to do it, and I'm okay with that. If you want to be a writer and you want to have all of these fantastical things, go for it. But don't write it and be proud of it for the fact that you wrote it. Like when you say, I wrote My Little Pony crossed with Wolverine. And this is my. I'm going way overboard on it.
Okay, you do realize there is that in the Marvel universe, right? Kamala wrote that.
My Little Pony. Oh yeah, she did.
She did. It was Avengers, but the very first issue of Miss Marvel, she's writing a Avengers My Little Pony crossover, basically.
It's stupid.
It's hilarious.
But yeah, that's my point. And we completely digress from Kyle. He was talking about Aberon and his favorite role-playing game set. So, were those your 2 favorite?
Those are my 2 favorites, and then there are a few others that I'm also kind of interested in, but we've never played. One of them is Ravenloft.
I've always wanted to play Ravenloft. I've always been very interested by that campaign setting.
Yeah, I have the box setting. I have the box set, and originally I was going to. Yeah, originally, my 5th edition campaign was going to be Ravenloft, but then I found out there was a starter set, and it already had like a full campaign in it, and I was like, okay, I'll just do this.
Yeah, and look how far we've gotten.
Yeah,
Right.
we need to play that more often.
We
Yeah,
need to do D&D more often in general.
I did read through the first Ravenloft adventure, and it seems really, really fun. But the thing about Ravenloft is that originally, this is like in 2nd edition or whatever. It was just like a realm where people would end up getting lost, and then they'd find themselves in this new world, Ravenloft. Well, it's in like 4th edition and 5th edition. They explained, oh yeah, that's because it's part of the Shadowfell. That's where the domains of dread are.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it did. And there's like certain areas in each realm where the veil between that realm and the Shadowfell is weakened, and you can end up crossing over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So part of me was like, okay, I could either do it that way and have people create characters from whatever place they wanted to be, or I could just have them all be from the domains of dread, which is where Ravenloft is.
Both would be interesting. You could even do an amalgam of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, like I made a character, he's from Eberron. Well, I made a character, he's from Forgotten Realms. I made a character, he's from this world.
Yeah, and that's totally acceptable.
Yeah.
Ravenloft is pretty cool. I only know of it having watched videos and read about it. That's my extent of knowledge on Ravenloft, though.
I guess the research I did is I read through that first adventure. I read a little bit from the Dungeon Master's Guide in the Manual of the Planes for 4th edition and the Dungeon Master's Guide in 5th edition. And then I decided to do some extra research by watching Nosferatu, Dracula, The Mummy. Let's see, what else did I watch?
Pretty much all of the older horror movies that inspired Ravenloft.
Yeah, and then I just like watched those, and I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty much what they were going for, and I thought like this could be really fun. The Cabinet of Dr. Cagliostro. I really have to mention that one because it's a great silent film. Nosferatu is my favorite.
I should watch that. I think I haven't seen Nosferatu all the way through. I've seen parts of it.
They're both on Netflix if you have that.
I do.
Okay, and yeah, watch them. What else is there? Spelljammer, 4th edition only. With 1st edition, or not 1st edition, 2nd edition. 2nd edition Spelljammer just seems. It's basically what we were talking about. It's just like way too much crossover-y stuff. Basically, that was that and Planescape were the two ways that they were able to cross over every setting, the massive amounts of settings they had in 2nd edition with each other. Planescape I didn't mind so much.
Planescape Torment.
Right, exactly. But Spelljammer just seemed a little bit too weird.
It felt too weird, yeah.
Yes, but it basically, like, every universe was contained within crystals, and you could spell jam within those crystals and all this other weird stuff.
It was super 90s.
Yes. Yeah, it was, really. But in 4th edition, they explained it that the Spelljammers are basically, like, they can travel through dimensions. You know, they can travel through the planes. You know, you just flip, switch, whatever, you go and you end up in the far realm, or you flip a few switches and spell jam, whatever. It was a very steampunkish sort of thing, from what I gather. And then you end up in the Astral Sea, do the same thing, end up in Elemental Chaos, and then you can end up in Eberron if you wanted. But I mean, honestly, with all these different realms, why the hell would you really want to go to something that just seems so just kind of mundane?
A change of pace.
Blasé.
Change of pace. That would be like, oh man, I'm so sick of these 5-course meals. I just want buttered noodles.
Right.
I
I'm
always
so
like the idea
Well,
of space
actually,
wizards, though.
honestly, like which actually mana, the setting that our card game, which again we really can't talk too much about because it hasn't technically been released or even technically picked up. Technically, um, it has space wizards. There are space wizards. There's one that was on the moon, I think.
Mm.
No, there's one that was in a hole, a black hole, to the moon, black hole. But anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
those are your four.
There's kind of a fifth one.
God damn! I just want to
Ki-
talk.
You talk a lot. Come
I
on.
talk too much. I want Bryson to talk. Really, that's what it is. I want Bryson.
You want me
Okay.
to give you my two of them?
I don't know. It's
After this
okay.
last one,
What is your thing? Is it
Numenera. It was written by a guy that worked on a few of the other like TSR Wizards RPGs. I can't remember which ones. I think he worked on Eberron. It's basically, it feels like one of those like 70s sci-fi-ish cartoons that were definitely meant for adults, like Ralph Bakshi would have
heavy metal?
done. Yeah, heavy metal.
Yeah.
Or
I loved
wizards.
heavy metal. Loved
Yeah.
heavy metal.
Heavy metal, wizards. There wasn't one that.
Basically, if you could take Dio and make it into an RPG setting.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so what it is like 1 million years in the future. It's is when Numenera takes place. They call it the Ninth World because there have been like 8 apocalypses since then, and they build off technology from those previous worlds, but it's supposed to feel like fantasy. So there are wizards, but these wizards, their power can come from like nanobots, or they like happen to be carrying around some weird little like biological flame thing, and it just responds to a command. Like you repeat this weird foreign language from ancient ages past.
The weirding word.
Yeah, and then it shoots a spell out. So things like that. And and there are very bizarre dungeons and structures that probably were at one point maybe like the White House, or like maybe someone's home, or hell, could have been a gas station, whatever, a fueling station for space things. But yeah, that's so that's the last one. I like the sound of Numenera. And and Spellslinger is another one.
Christ and a half, Kyle.
I'm just gonna say Spellslinger. I like it. It's Western mixed with fantasy. That's all.
Do you want to pick out the rest of the RPG settings that are out there?
Can I just do two?
Go ahead. I'm done.
Is your two Star Trek and Star Trek?
No, neither of them are Star Trek.
Oh, then I don't think you're lying. I think you're lying to me.
You're not going to like one of them for sure.
I already hate it.
Okay, number one, I'm just going to copy Kyle here because my favorite fantasy setting has to be Forgotten Realms, mostly because we've played 2 of them, which is Eberron and Forgotten Realms.
And you have a giant hard-on for Dritz.
I don't have that, but I have been reading the novels. I haven't read in like 2 years though. I stopped reading them, but that's also where all the games take place that are pretty much in D&D for the most part.
All the really good
games. Yeah. The second one, real quick, isn't exactly a established setting per se, but I was actually working on it with Kyle for a bit, for an idea for a setting like this. But it's the idea for a setting. It's the setting where your players are playing characters as themselves stuck in this world.
The Sword Art Online. No,
not Sword Art
Log
Online.
Horizon.
It's the Log Horizon setting. It's based off of, and there actually is a setting for Log Horizon, but it's all in Japanese.
Usually those settings from anime are terrible.
Well, it's more of I took the idea of, okay, what if you had your players, they were playing, whether it be a tabletop game or an MMO, I never decided which.
So your favorite other setting is something you made up?
I didn't exactly make it up. I'm just adapting an idea I got from watching.
Yeah.
That's why I said you would hate it.
Eberron.
I do hate it.
I said you would hate it, but I like the idea of being like saying, "Okay, players, pick out your characters as if you were going to play in this game. That's who you're stuck as, but you're playing yourself, playing those characters." And I liked that idea a lot.
Yeah. So
And I did come up with some background to my version of it as to how things would have played out to where the world ended up that way.
yeah. So yeah, I don't care.
I
Um,
didn't think it would, which is why I never mentioned to it before now.
yeah, we're gonna round out this discussion. We're gonna kind of come to the close of it because we've already talked for far too long for what I wanted. I wanted like half an hour less of what we were doing, so I can cut in some later with Scott. So I guess we're gonna do a half an hour with Scott.
This is pretty much an entire podcast.
Pretty much. We might record. We might cut out all the parts where I talk about recording.
We could probably turn this into 2 podcasts.
That's what I was thinking. You know, maybe we can slice this in half and do the role playing thing afterward, and I can cut in. Bryson could do all the fancy edits. I know where I do the edits, but Bryson would have to do it because he has Premiere and I don't. I really want to get Premiere now that I know how to use it, or slightly know how to use it. But no, there's gonna be a couple things. Like I'm gonna go over my favorite settings, and it's gonna be very strange. So I have a favorite homebrew. I have 2 favorite homebrews. 3. One is, this isn't any sort of rank or order, just ones I thought of. We had, and this was up to a point, we had a zombie campaign that we did where we had to play ourselves. It was kind of self-insert, but it was a realistic. Okay, here's a zombie survival horror. You play yourselves, and you have to, you have to survive. And for the first couple of sessions, it was really good. Our friend Shelly hosted it. Really liked it. Our stats were based on things we could do. So I had a 12 strength. Because at that time, I used to work out a lot, and I had to prove that I had a 12 strength. Because a lot of things people don't realize when they play role-playing games, when you have 10, that means average, and average is pretty good. Like if I had an 11, I would probably categorize myself at a 12 intelligence, which is very, very, pretty high. Actually, I'd probably put myself at 13 or 14, to be honest, because I'm technically a genius, technically. IQ is a little weird, and IQ tests are strange, and I haven't taken one in a while, so I might have dipped. Who knows? I probably became dumb in the past 8 years of me just rotting my brain. But I do have a genius level IQ, so I probably put my intelligence at 13 or 14, which is genius level. And a lot of people don't realize it. It's like, oh, I got a 13. That's fucking terrible. I got an 11. That's awful. I'm like, 11. I mean, some reasonably naturally athletic people that never pursued it, I put them at 11. Like someone who can run. Like I would put Buzz at a dexterity of I wouldn't put him at dexterity of 11, but I put some people that are kind of naturally dexterous at 11. Someone who's decently dexterous at 12. You know, I proved my strength was 12. That's reasonably strong when you take into what a strength of 12 can actually get you in real world, like going through the stats. I had like a charisma of 12. Most of the stats weren't above 13. I think some of them were for other people because there was favoritism. And Shelley even said because of favoritism. Basically based on who got him what. If you got him some Red Bull, you get some extra stuff. But it was a really good campaign until it kind of fell apart and it became a Resident Evil campaign.
Shelley really likes Resident Evil.
He loves Resident Evil. And I like Resident Evil. I really do like Resident Evil. I don't like as much of him, but I do like Resident Evil, and that's what it became.
Well, was there suddenly an Umbrella Corporation or something?
Yes, I mean Resident Evil style zombies were in there because he kind of used like a guide for Resident Evil style stuff. I'm like, you know what? Okay, he's including some Resident Evil things, but that's because you kind of need more than just regular zombies to spruce it up, and I'm okay with it. Like we fought a licker. But we were using D&D modern rules, and I was the charismatic guy, but I always went in first because that's who I am. That's what I do. I just don't give a fuck. It was really good up until Resident Evil came along, and then it just kind of fell apart, and we never played it again. My second in line of what I thought of, not in rank, homebrew would be my own, which is, you know, it's terrible to say. It's very egotistical to say, but I did think of a whole homebrew called Fellsworn, and I still write it to this day, here and there. And I've always wanted to play it. I keep wanting to play it, but I just have to adapt it to fifth edition, and I haven't done that yet because I'm lazy. But its setting, it's kind of a contemporary fantasy, where there used to be a kind of Pangea type continent that was split in two as a result of a war between the gods, and the gods, were kind of much closer to the physical realm. They've shied away from it, since that war, but a lot of gods died, and there's only a small number of gods left. There's, maybe 7 or 8 gods left, and there's a bunch of dead gods you can still kind of worship, that still get worshipped, that still have some sort of primal power left, but they're not really gods anymore because they're obviously dead. Um, but the whole setting is kind of, it's partly that and the history, and this Pangea gets split in half, and there's a whole race of elves that get wiped out, and elves were kind of like this really high magical society that we really not we, but the humans that are left behind to kind of rediscover magic and everything, or they're trying to uncover the secrets behind it, but it's so way beyond what they've seen. It's kind of like the fall of the Roman Empire thing. They don't understand most of what they're seeing, and they're trying their best to learn, but obviously they don't have the same resources that the elves did. And then there's this undercurrent of this brewing war with these fellsworn, these agents of a god named Fell, these horribly twisted and almost I wouldn't say invincible, but incredibly sturdy beings that kind of invading certain parts of the world, and there's a whole political intrigue between two different countries. There's a whole history and background behind it. And I really like designing it, and it's honestly probably one of my favorite homebrews I've seen. Probably one of my favorite campaign settings, just because I made it. I mean, a little egotistical like that. And then I would say my third homebrew that I really really like is Mana, which it started off as a homebrew. I've written a lot for it. I've helped build this world, and I've helped design an entire role-playing setting and a whole role-playing system out of it, which maybe in the future we'll get to publish. Who knows? But those are my three favorite homebrews. Mana is kind of where Fellsworn is more of a traditionalist, sort of contemporary fantasy, but a little more traditionalist, a little more high fantasy than Mana is. Mana is way more on the contemporary side. It has a lot more themes that are akin to popular culture than Fellsworn is. I think Fellsworn's contemporary when you compare it to Tolkien, whereas Mana's contemporary, way contemporary compared to Fellsworn. And obviously, some of the readers or listeners don't know what I'm talking about. But like I said, Mana is the system or the world setting that our card game that we're going to be releasing sometime in the future is going to kind of include, and that's kind of where the flavor comes from for it. But those are my favorite homebrews, and I hate to keep talking forever about it, and you guys don't understand how to interject in conversation and actually have a conversation. But
Oh, you want me to interject? Okay.
no,
Here's the
I
thing.
thought your discussion was
you're
boring.
talking about your own homebrews, and you told me my homebrew was terrible.
I did, and you could have come up and said that. You're like, "Oh yeah, your homebrew's so great." Jesus.
I haven't played them. Actually,
you
and
have.
I think yours sound interesting. So
yeah.
I would be lying.
That's because
I still remember when Dragon Age came out and you were like, darn them!
Yeah, that's kind of what Fellsworn it kind of was. It was actually pretty funny. I've always had this running gag with Scott that I should write for the Bethesda because he keeps stealing my ideas. I'll just have ideas, and it happens about the same time that they have the idea, but then it comes out and it's like, oh, hey, this was whatever. Or I'll have the idea technically after them, but I'll have it before it gets announced. Like Fellsworn comes out. I start writing Fellsworn before I even know anything about Dragon Age. Like I don't watch trailers, and I haven't watched trailers for a long, long time. And Dragon Age was something I was very interested in because I always loved BioWare games. Um, and BioWare comes out after I started writing Felsworn for a couple months, and it was basically like a lot of the ideas I had for Felsworn were in Dragon Age. And I'm just like, God damn you, BioWare!
Did I say Bethesda, by the way?
You did say Bethesda, but same thing. Um,
Not
yeah,
quite.
not quite, but whatever. Role playing games.
They both have worked with Obsidian on different stuff. Obsidian is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I love Obsidian. But yeah, so those are my favorite homebrews. Just kind of get that out of the way. My favorite more traditional style ones between Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk, and because I'm going to include Greyhawk because I'm a purist. Because I played Greyhawk first. That's the first thing I played D&D was Greyhawk. Uh, and Eberron, Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk and Eberron. I prefer Eberron. I love Eberron. It's what I prefer to play. I think, like I said before, I enjoy that more nationalist thing. I can kind of identify a character, and especially if they're part of the military. Like all my characters have been military in Eberron so far. You can kind of latch onto that national pride to say, "Oh, I'm." Both my characters were Carnathian because they were related. It was two different campaigns, but they're related characters because they're literally brothers. Um, you can kind of latch on to that national pride and kind of define a character around that. And if I were on Darien, I'd be like, "Oh yes, the Queen, worship the Queen, God save the Queen." Like a British person would say, except it would be more British, like "God save the Queen," which is a little more subtly British. But anyway, I prefer Eberron because it has a lot more intrigue. There's a lot more to it, I think, on an individual scale, which is ironic because it's also much bigger on a political scale. I think the Forgotten Realms is so high fantasy that you kind of lose individualism in when you create a character because you say I'm an elf, I'm part of the elves, and the elves kind of have their own personality as elves. I don't know. I feel like you kind of lose a little bit of individuality there. That's just what I think.
So, I yeah,
Oh,
I really want to talk more about this subject because I love talking about D&D, RPGs, tabletop. We didn't even talk about tabletops.
no, we
Tabletop
didn't.
stuff.
And there's one more thing I want to mention before we kind of get off, or I get off, because I'm just rock hard right now.
We did not
Me
need
too.
that.
Kyle and I are rock hard right now. We're talking about role playing game settings. Like this is our bread and fucking butter. But you mentioned Spellslinger, and I want to get into Spellslinger because that's one of my absolute favorites. I love Fantasy Flight games. Even for the games I don't want to play, I still think about them. Like I don't want to play the Transformers one ever, but if I did, I would play Cellphonetron
Yeah,
because I would be a cell phone that transforms that has a little laser sword for the antenna because I'd be like a Motorola cell phone. But I love Spellslinger because it's the atheist. It's the atheist role playing game setting, which I know there's plenty of role playing game settings out there that don't have any gods or whatever. Because man, I really just haven't made gods. Technically, we can get into that later. And Bryson, I expect you to cut this down at some point to less than what it is. And
Where
it's
do you
really
want me to cut? Like, that means I have to there'd be like, what do you want me to cut out? I mean,
just take parts that are shit.
okay, so you want me to sit here and listen to the entire thing and decide arbitrarily what's bad and what's good?
No, never mind. We'll just have it long. We'll just cut out the parts like this. Anyway,
My suggestion would be just do part one and part two.
yeah, we can do part one and part two. We'll cut this in half and do part one, and then release part two to next time, and we'll do part two plus some.
Also, I have a great name for this.
What is it?
How long is it again?
Like that's the name?
Yeah, like just
Okay.
podcast 3A or whatever you want to label it as.
Yeah,
Because we
we'll
should
call-
have names. Because just say podcast 2 is kind of boring.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Anyway, so, but yeah, Spellslinger is really the atheist role playing game setting, at least in my eyes, because there are no gods. They all left. There was this kind of cataclysm. They all left, and my character, again, I kind of define how I like role playing game settings on what kind of character I can make. and what kind of background I could make and how I could fit that in thematically. Like I had Piel de Certo, the which translates into pigskin in Spanish because he was an orc, and in my eyes, the orcs spoke Spanish because we Scott and I had a joke about the orcs speaking Spanish, which translates into mana, ironically, and we can get to that later when we talk to Scott. If we do, I mean, who knows? Um, but or if this is now, I guess in the future, when we talked to Scott, we talked about that at some point or something. Who knows? But yeah, I had Pio de Certo. He was a half orc. He worked on the railroads like his parents did. He ended up kind of learning about engineering, and then he kind of got a little bit of higher learning from his gnome boss, who kind of took him under his wing a little bit as a mentor, and he became friends with his kid. They started venturing together because his child, the gnome's child, was Professor. I don't know what the fuck his name was, but it was our friend Mark who played it, and he played a really good character. I really loved it. And they kind of became buddy buddy because it was a dichotomy between big guy and small guy, and the big guy was a gentle giant, and the small guy was kind of a piece of shit who liked to steal everything. And my character was on a mission. He was on a mission for God. He was a fucking blues brother.
So, yeah, the reason why I like Spellslinger so much is because it's a very thin book, but it, like, somewhere in the book it says basically we don't have a whole lot of, like, monsters in here. So you can just, like, use any material you find in the regular D&D books. And I was like, perfect. So I figured out it was sort of a role-playing, a DM challenge for me to be like, how could this monster fit in Spellslinger?
And you did that beautifully with the Thought Eater. I'm terrified. You've done this in 2 games now. I'm terrified. I'm a maniaphobe. And I cannot stand the idea of losing my mind, even like for my characters. It's such a terrifying concept to me that I can't handle it. And you've worked this into 2 games now, you fucking bastard.
Sorry.
But
I thought it was done really well in Spellslinger.
I think it was done really, really well in Spellslinger, and I really enjoyed it. And that's something I enjoy about the game, though, is from a player point of view, it's how you can create a character for me. And in DM's point of view, like you were saying, it's how you can craft a story and what tools you can use to craft that story. So, like 4th edition, I'll say, like 4th edition Emerald, I really didn't enjoy as much because, as much as 3.5, only in the reason that it was easier to craft a character, but there was less to craft a character with, and there's less options, and you didn't really have as much latitude.
So basically the same thing I was complaining about, except for I said, dual wielding sucks now.
Yes, except who wants to be a dual wielder because it's impractical?
Me.
You're fucking terrible.
Yeah, and you played as a half drow.
Okay, that was just to have fun. Honestly, I regret it now.
I actually, no, I like it. I like it because it pisses off Covan.
It actually pissed me off up until you got in your backstory, and it's the first backstory you've done where I've almost accepted it.
Almost.
The second you said rape, I'm like, oh my god, he made a compelling backstory. Like, you don't stick to that backstory at all. Like, you really don't make a character that, I don't know. Your characters are always just too polite, too rigid, and I think that's where I have a problem with it.
Yeah, that's because I'm just I don't think I don't go into it enough, probably. For the headspace.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain your character for the audience. And hopefully they're still fucking listening at this point. So your character, your mother was raped by a drow somehow. Am I right?
Yes, raiding party or whatever. I never explained.
Yeah, they came up from the Underdark or some drow, whatever, who cares. Raped your mother, which, again, you've already gotten to the realm of compellingness, because I like gritty stories, really I do. I like gritty origin stories. I know I'm a sucker for them, but that's just...
Do you want me to just summarize the whole thing real quick?
Well, I was going to say I was going to do it because I think I'd do a better job.
Okay.
Ironically. So your mother was raped, and then 9 months later you pop out, or however many months later you popped out. Maybe you're a preemie. Who the fuck cares? You pop out, you're like, oh god, he's half fucking dark elf. Apparently, let's keep the child and raise him. I don't know why. That's where I fall off.
I
So really
probably
not
should
far
have
into the story.
explained away that it better, other than they were just morally good people. Honestly, probably would a better idea would have been to say, hey, they're because of the god they worship, they're unable they couldn't do it without forsaking their god, because any life, no matter if it's a
I
drow,
think
half
I th-
drow.
I think that you could have done that and then added compounded onto that and said, because of their god, and that's why they didn't get rid of you when you were born. But I think you could have been like, well, they didn't know they planned on keeping because at about that time,
She was trying.
she was trying to have a child
See,
with
I
her
just
husband.
didn't write it that specifically.
See, that's you got to
That's
think
the
about it.
thing.
Like
I just
that's where
kind
my
of
brain goes
brushed
because
over it.
I immediately I think of like Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan, which is really apparently pronounced Genghis Khan. His firstborn son, his wife was captured by another tribe, and he didn't know whether or not, because about that time they were trying to have a kid. That he didn't know whether his firstborn child was his or not, and then eventually he killed him. Whether or not that was the reason why, um, that was. I don't think he killed him. His other two sons killed him, but still, he they might have done it on his order, but they never specify why he did it, but that might have been one of the reasons why. But then, they didn't know up until that point. They're like, oh shit, we had this half drow kid, and it was one of our worries, but we can't because we don't want to forsake our gods, and there's a whole moral issue. And then they raise you, but they kind of leave you off to the side, and you get educated, but you're never really, you're like the super bastard, so they don't really acknowledge you ever, but they do educate you, and they at least try and meet up to the bare minimum of their kind of code of honor through their god. And then you're kind of raised this rigid sort of. The problem is you don't get the dark grittiness, like that doesn't edge through. You get the nobility.
That's
And
because the way I played him, as he was pretty much, well, he understood that he was hated
Not
outside for being what he was, but the
not
way he
really.
was raised, he just kind of goes okay, and he
You
doesn't really have any darkness to him in a way
yeah, see,
sense of,
I
because of
can't
the
let,
backstory.
I can't trust a character that doesn't have any darkness
I'm
attached to
not
him.
saying he doesn't
no,
have any. I'm just saying he doesn't have. He's not like, oh, my mother was like
No,
that
no,
kind of
no, no.
stuff.
You don't have to explicitly say it, but there has to be an edge. Like when you play a character like that, there's got to be an edge. There's got to be some points where you snap a little bit,
But
or you're.
that's the whole thing, is what's going on with his brother.
I don't even know what the fuck's. I'm not. I'm so uncompelled by your storyline anymore that I don't care. I don't even know
but
what the hell you're talking about.
Or I don't even
so
know if how much that got mentioned. I know I told Kyle to
um
do something
uh,
about it.
I was actually gonna say, I didn't get the whole like he knows he's feared outside of his town, outside of his castle, outside of his family, whatever. He knows he's feared. I didn't get that because you walked into a bar without a hood or
Yeah,
anything.
that's what I'm
Like
talking about.
He
Like
just
you
doesn't
don't know
care.
that.
you're just like, hey, I'd
I
like
don't
to open
know. I
best
don't
ale.
know what I probably
See,
shouldn't have done
you,
it that way, but
yeah, you
that was
can't
a
make a
failure on
character.
my part,
You
not
can't make a
his.
character like that doesn't care. Like they have to care. Like they could put it out that they don't care, but like your character could even say I don't care, whatever. I'm half dark off. I don't know, but they still have the hood on. So then there's a
See, that's what
dichotomy between.
happened. I
Well,
that,
no, Buzz got you a hood, but I'm saying there's that when you build a character, then there's that dichotomy between what they say, what they're outwardly projecting as I don't care, but they still have the hood, so they're also saying with their physical presence, and this is a role playing game character I'm breaking down in this way. It's weird, I know, but this is who I am, and when I build a character, I build 10 pages with a backstory, and I could have gone 20, but I didn't. Um, there's that dichotomy between those two, and you have the hood which also says and I'm still kind of ashamed of it on
it,
some
it was a
subconscious
failure on my
psychological.
part,
Well, I
honestly.
know it's a failure on your part because you don't think about it this deep.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. But I did actually come up with an interesting backstory.
You came up with one that almost compelled me. That's
Oh,
probably the
that
that's
is
probably the
something
highest
for
praise I
me.
can give you. Like there's a couple people that can do it. Scott can do it when I think when given the right tools, Scott can do it. Some characters Scott makes up, and the same goes for me and you and everyone else. I think Scott doesn't like some of the characters I make up. Um, I don't like some of the characters Scott makes up. A lot of his characters, though, when a lot of thought's been given to them, are very very good. Even the joke characters are actually interesting on a completely different level. Kyle, almost every single one of your characters have a fun, compelling note to them. I think
I try.
like Rush is probably my favorite character.
Oh
His
yeah.
was a we did
And
a mana campaign. It was a military style campaign, and my character was dark and gritty as usual, as per the norm for me. Actually, I think the current character I just made for our fifth edition campaign isn't so gritty, and I'm not going to go into him because I keep talking about my own goddamn characters too much. But Kyle's character Rush, he was a sergeant, he was a medical officer, and he was addicted to drugs. He lost his family, so he was basically sampling his own medicine. He would make requisitions, and I would let him because I was his captain. Um, and I
Yeah.
kind of knew, but I didn't want to. I knew his pain, and I understood it, but I didn't. I couldn't bear myself to try and take away the only thing in this world that makes him feel good, and you know there. And when you play the character, you don't just unabashedly just start shooting up because that's a really immature way to handle it. A lot of it was a text based thing. It was always a subtle try and shoot out. He's like, it just kind of goes off into his own, and he
I'm gonna
shoots up.
go scout out behind those rocks over there. That's what I do.
Yeah, and then you go shoot up over there.
okay,
Yeah.
just to finish up with my character, real quick though, to say where he is going if we ever go back to it. I was going to try to play the dichotomy of how my character turned out pretty much good,
You're
but
stealing
my
my
brother
word.
didn't.
You're stealing my word.
Huh?
You like my word dichotomy, don't you? Yeah, you like it.
Yes,
You
I
like
like
it.
the dichotomy.
Yeah, it's a
But
good word, isn't it?
my
Good word. Next word you want to use? Juxtaposition.
where my character story was going that I mentioned to Kyle was that I was going to find out what my brother was doing in my side because he's the younger brother. I'm the elder, but I couldn't take it, nor did I ever really want it. Once I understood what it was, but my younger brother wanted it, loved it. He went all like wholeheartedly into ruling, but I'm going to find out that he's not doing it up to like how he should be, that he's pretty much become a tyrannical overlord or whatever. And so I'm going to either have to ignore him or go and do something about it.
So wait, hang on. You just made up the Lion King.
I did not mean to make it the Lion King.
God, see, you got so close. You almost had me, and then you made the goddamn Lion King.
I did not make the Lion King.
You made the Lion King.
I did
You were the
not.
older brother, the pure good older brother who kind of didn't want the rule, but
I'm not Mufasa.
you're a Mufasa. You're just a Mufasa that didn't get to be king. That's it. That's it.
Okay, if you do this, you're gonna find this in anything.
No. I did not oversimplify it. You literally all I did was tweak one fact about the Lion King, and suddenly I just had your story.
Again, it's a very simple story in the Lion King. Either way, whatever. Moving on. Still gonna do it.
Anyway, I think actually the original point I was trying to make is I really like Spellslinger because I was able to make a character that's so far out from what I normally do. Because normally I make kind of a military style character, and they're very rigid and dark. And this character, he's not dark. He's just kind of quiet. I mean, it wasn't a slave, but kind of like the Chinese building the railroads. They weren't slaves, but they weren't paid well, and he kind of was in poverty, but he's had a decent life. But he's on a mission. He's on a mission from God. He's trying to find. He's trying to find God. He goes to church, which church really isn't manned anymore, or churches really aren't manned anymore. He's trying to find God because obviously before some celestial figure or figures used to exist, and that's what he wants to find. He's not the smartest character. I usually make a smarter character, but he's not a smart character. He's a little brutish. He carries a sledgehammer and an orcish hand cannon, which is really just like a small ship cannon, essentially, with a fucking stock on it, which is basically like a shotgun that shoots boulder, or blunderbuss shoots boulder.
Yeah.
But he's wise, and that's what I love about Spellslinger.
Yeah. So I actually have to go now.
Yeah, we have
I-
talked too long. It is definitely
Yeah.
it's time to wrap up. We're gonna probably cut this in two. Now that I
yeah.
think about it,
I'd like to carry on this conversation about D&D though later because I have a lot of stuff to talk about involving being a DM and also creating characters. But yeah,
I think next podcast that we do, maybe I'll do it. One of them I'll do solo, and I'll just break down how to make not the perfect character, but a good character in D&D. Um, I think I might do that, or we'll do it together. I'll run a workshop for you guys, and
It's
then
always more fun with people.
it is always one for other people.
You have someone to
yeah,
yell at.
Oh yeah, I love yelling at you. Absolutely. Anyway,
yeah. You'll have someone else to yell at.
um,
Yes.
so for this part of the podcast, I'm going to say, we're gonna take a break for a little while, um, and then we're gonna come back probably later today. Maybe I'll be more drunk, maybe I'll be less drunk as I sobered up over the course of this podcast, um, or the course of this segment. We're gonna cut to a segment with Scott. Hey, what's up there, guys? My wonderful listeners. This is a little awkward. It's a little middle segment I'm recording to kind of bridge the gap between the two things. You're going to hear me say welcome again, and there'll be 3 times I said welcome to the Tower Wizard podcast. So welcome to the Tower Wizard podcast. If for some reason you're tuning in at this point, you're kind of strange, a little weird, listening from the back quarter, if not even longer. Um, but no, we had a little bit of loss because of a cut, and can't get back the audio to kind of. So I'm recording this to bridge the gap between the two recordings. So yeah, here it is. The segment with Scott. Thanks. Hello, and welcome back to the Tower Wizard podcast with our special guest after we, murdered brutally Kyle and left him in a ditch to die in some horrible plane of hell.
We gave him a pizza though, so he's fine.
He's dead.
Oh, you just toss like a pie on top of the poor corpse.
It's more like, I don't like anchovies.
He's just sleeping.
He does eat anchovies because he's a horrible devil
Hey.
creature.
No, it's a good plan because no one takes your pizza.
Yeah, well, it's a good disgusting plan.
They're just salty.
So anyway, I'm here.
This is our special guest Scott, who owns the company.
No bigs.
Yeah, and who employs people.
Barely.
I mean, it's a loose and vague term to
Yeah, I
say
mean, I'm all for
employ.
the buttercup of it all, but
He's there, and we're here, and
that's eventually going to be an impressive fact. Like, oh yeah, he's the boss guy of all that you see.
all the light
Channel with 10
touches.
views.
There's a half broken LED in the back. It's touching a bookcase. He owns all the bookcase. Got it.
It's and I got that from IKEA.
So it's quality product.
I put it together myself with that Allen wrench that it came with, that broke in halfway through, and then I had to go buy another Allen wrench to put the bookshelf together.
Yeah, you just had to get some little plastic rubber grippers to hold it because
just no biggie.
Somehow that you could break steel in half, because
other than with my bare hands, naturally.
Obviously, it is what it is. So, we have some stuff we're going to talk about or whatever, but I want to kick things off because I already told you this, Scott, earlier. My poor decision making yesterday. But Bryson's here, and Bryson's going to tell me I'm a terrible person or whatever the hell he's going to tell me. He's going to judge me in his super passive, I don't feel like, emoting sort of way.
Okay.
Yep.
It's a little harsh, Bryson, right out the gate.
You got to calm down, dude. I'm trying to bare my soul here, and you're just fucking chugging along in your murder rage. I don't know.
Well, he's never known another way in life.
It's true. He's never. I mean, there was that one time at Magica where we took a sword and
all he knows is death.
Death and destruction. He only causes pain. Anyway, so I got home yesterday, and I decided, I gotta grab some stuff from the store. I went to the convenience store, grabbed some stuff for a marinade for some pork chops. And I'm like, you know what? I got some stuff for dessert. I need ice cream to finish that stuff off. I'll grab that. I gotta grab cereal because I have a bunch of milk, and I'm not gonna just drink the milk because what the fuck am I, a Nazi or a
Someone who
British
likes
person?
calcium. I don't know.
See, no, I like drinking milk, but I only usually drink milk every once in a while, so I can't drink a whole gallon by the time it
I want my
expires.
bones to be as brittle as humanly possible.
Yeah, yeah. So
I want a stiff breeze to literally break me in half.
right. So then I can go and workman's comp. Or, no, I'm kidding.
What happened? Oh, it was windy.
He folded, literally folded.
I've never seen that happen. I really never hope to again. He cried the entire time. It was
Yeah,
haunting.
I'm just imagining this now.
It's like he cried, not like he like birthed a pterodactyl. It's-
Well,
I'm
that's
on workman's comp from having seen it.
God damn. I have to go for therapy. I'm mandated to go to therapy for 3 years.
Yeah.
It's messed up stuff. But no, so after about all the things I needed, which I really didn't need, but whatever. I'm like, you know what? I kind of want sloshed. It's 11 a.m. I think it's time to get sloshed. So instead of getting sloshed, I'm like, I'll settle for a buzz because I don't want to go to the liquor store. So I grabbed, a big tall Reds apple ale, 8% alcohol by volumes, like 24 ounces.
Well, let's
Right.
step back. 9% alcohol by volume, Justin.
And when I said it had 8%,
That's wicked ale, man.
oh, that must have been what it was.
Yeah.
Does the
Um,
percent
That's
really matter?
No.
it does matter, Bryson. Okay. For the
It's
story. And then I grabbed a Limerita, also 8% by volume. So I had 36 ounces of 8%. Basically, shitty wine. I had a shitty bottle of wine. And, I got kind of toasty. I had a breakfast sandwich, had some oatmeal, had an apple. And then, before I left, and, I went outside and smoked. And while I was at the store, getting ahead of myself, while I was at the store, I bought some Pop Tarts because I've been really craving Pop Tarts, but I haven't wanted to go out and buy any. Like, I'll get some s'mores Pop Tarts. And I go home. Like I said, I eat all that stuff. I drink all that liquor. I finish smoking.
get a good cry in.
Get a good cry in. Good cry and tug. What's they call it? It's what I do. Maybe get a little light choking in.
All right.
Just to round off the day. And I decide I want a Pop Tart. I forgot to actually mention. I also had ice cream after I had the Pop Tart.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I didn't hear that part. That's
yeah, I forgot to throw it in there. I had some ice
I
cream
think
with
this even sadder.
some homemade preserves.
Mm.
They're really good, but that's actually why I bought the ice cream to put the preserves on them. They're really good. But no. So I ate Pop Tart. And I'm like, you know what? I hit that point where the buzz is starting to kind of wear off, and I'm angry and depressed at the world, and I just want to harm my body in some way that's not actually physically harmful. So then I ate the entire box of Pop Tarts and more ice cream, and I felt terrible the next day.
Of course.
I didn't want to exist after that.
It's really the guilt of what you did to those Pop Tarts. I have to live with myself.
And I didn't have a shirt on. And crumbs just fell on my bare chest. It was not a pretty sight.
What did you do, Covan? What did you do to those poor Pop Tarts?
Face fucked those Pop Tarts.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, it got rough. It got
Yeah.
strangely sexual for a minute.
It's you and food.
I rubbed it in. It just, I don't know. I'm still haunted.
I feel like I was there crying in the background. Like there's a clown playing a violin, and there's a kid bouncing a ball while tears stream down her face.
So that's my token depressing story of the week. Last week it was that I never want to have children because I'm petrified by the idea that I'm either going to lose them, kill them, or fuck them up so bad they never ever contribute to society, or just destroy it entirely.
Yeah.
And if you want to elaborate, it's on the
Kids
last
take
podcast.
after the parents, so
It is, yeah. No, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and this is rotten apple. It's gross.
it's just a crab apple right there.
Still a crabby apple.
Little grumpy crab apple.
He's so grumpy.
Oh, you.
He's all frowny, pouty, crossing his arms. He doesn't even have arms. How does he cross his arms? Apples don't have arms.
He grew little arms just to cross.
So he's so terse.
What a grumpy little apple.
So terse. So what have you been up to this week, Scottington? Scotteroni.
Well,
Scottimus.
I have the mistake of working retail as my side job here, and that's always fun, selling iPads to folks.
Yeah.
Did some of that.
Yeah.
Did some art.
Yeah. Art.
I often look at my desk covered in unpainted miniatures and go, I should paint, and then walk away from it.
Paint a maroon.
No, Space Maroons.
Yeah.
The most feared chapter.
Or Space Macaroons.
I believe they're actually Chaos Space Marines, the Space Maroons.
No, those are black.
Because they actually believe in nothing more than freedom and the death of the false emperor. They sound oddly peaceful given their colored name.
But I thought the emperor was the emperor. Well, I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. No one does.
Except
Space Maroons.
Space Maroons.
The one true faith. The color maroon. It's a very specific shade that grants true enlightenment.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
They paint their armor, they bask in it, they drink the paint. It's
a lead-based paint, mind you.
It's a mercury-based paint. It's not good for you.
It drives them mad.
They get real high, and
they just start frothing up and charge
out
onto the battlefield. Half of them they just seize and fall down, and the enemy just kind of goes home. They're just like, we can't
continue like this.
I can't fight this. Half of them are crippled. Half of them are just dead. Like
the rest are insane. It's mercury poisoning, honestly. It's just
they're just sitting there like, we are the Space Marines!
I mean, you got some Tyranids in the back, like, whoa, wait, all right, no.
I'm not eating that.
Like, I'm not stealing those genes.
Are you eating that, Steve? Are you eating that?
I'm certainly not eating that.
Well, shit. I don't want to eat it either.
Let's go find another planet to devour.
Leave this one here. Planet Maroon is fucked.
Mark that one on the map. No go.
These genes are like... These people have like 7 genes left. That's it. The rest is mercury. We don't know how they did it, but that's part of the genetic material now.
They should all be dead.
Mercury and lead. Like, you'd think it would be a cool thing, like...
No, it's...
the turn of the Silver Surfer or some shit, but
it's insane and saddening.
Just a bunch of crazy dudes in some big-ass armor.
I'm a weird scythe-armed monster, and I think that's sad. So...
What does that say about them?
Yeah, what does that say about them?
Bryson, I'm real glad.
So that's been my week.
I'm real glad I can see your face, Bryson, right now. You can't see our faces, because it's just going to be a picture.
Yeah. It's going to be a picture I designed, actually.
That's a picture you designed. You arted it.
In an hour, because I was like, oh no, we need an emblem.
Which actually, that picture has been used for 3 other pictures. Spliced. Yeah. I've spliced it up.
Just kind of pops in, yeah.
It's currently our banner. I took the top off the thing, and it's now our banner. I took the logo off of it, and that's our logo for the YouTube channel. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, which you should be because that's all it's on right now because I haven't bought the website. Because I need a website for an RSS feed, apparently, to submit things to YouTube. I didn't know that until I tried. But I'm kind of glad I can see Bryson's face right now because it's
glorious, I think, would be the best word to describe. Oh, eyebrow is up.
I'm about to say, up until that point, if you ever needed to explain what pure emotionlessness looked like just pure and utter, I don't know, not even contentment. What's the word I'm looking?
No, I'd say contempt, like just with the world, like what's
disinterest.
No, not just it was contempt. Bryson, that eyebrow to me signified just death of the universe.
Well,
and
no,
I print screened it.
The eyebrow, the eyebrow is contempt, but before that, when his face was just blank, it was like the most disinterested face. Like you'd expect, we're being hilarious. Someone's gonna laugh. It better be Bryson. No,
that didn't even print screen.
Doesn't even care. Bryson hates us.
He does.
Speaking of that, actually, on our way back from the grocery store, apparently my sister in her psychology class, there's actually something in your brain that if it's not wired correctly, you won't show emotions like all the time. She's like, yeah, maybe that's with you because I've always not been able to like tell what your emotions are for most
Yeah.
time.
Hey,
Bryce-
there's this thing where your brain might be wrong and it doesn't work. Is that you, Bryce? Because you have no heart?
Like, so imagine that more
Love
like
you too,
this.
little sister.
Son, I'm not sure what's going on here.
At least you didn't save that line for Christmas morning, right? Oh, hey, Bryson, happy or Merry Christmas. I got you a little smiley face hat. Wear it if you're happy so I'll know.
Here's your frowny face hat. Here's the one with the angry
Spin it
eyebrows.
around. It's got two brims, so you look like a weird, like, 90s Sherlock Holmes. Like, wear some bright colors.
Radical!
Radical!
Radical, Watson!
Excellent, my dear Watson! But, you just spin it. Are you happy or are you sad? There's no other emotions, obviously.
Bryson, I think your little sister tried to tell you that you're a sociopath.
I don't know.
Or an android. I don't know.
I do know that I tend to go to a very neutral expression if I'm not actively.
You would live on the planet Neutral from Futurama.
You mean dupe? Or no?
Whatever. I don't know. I don't
No,
remember what
that's
it's
the
called.
Democratic Union of Planets or whatever.
Yeah, no, it was Doof, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would be the
Tell
god.
my wife I said hello.
You would be the god king of neutrality.
God King.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And there's just like the echoing of the crowds. Okay.
It was all right.
I wasn't thrilled nor disappointed.
I was just whelmed.
Yeah, actually, that's how I kind of feel when watching Creed. I was like, yeah,
That's how you feel. That's how he feels, Scott.
That's how it's just Bryson's whelmed
it was
today.
it was too long, honestly. The movie lost me.
Wait, which movie?
Creed.
Like
Kyle wanted to go see it.
that band from the 90s?
No.
No, like Apollo Creed.
Rocky.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
The
Yeah.
boxing was good, but other than that, I didn't care.
See, I saw Real Steel, and that had boxing, but it also had big robots.
Did have
That
big
sounds
robots.
more exciting.
It
I don't
was,
think I ever finished that movie.
It was okay.
For what I saw, it was resoundingly okay.
Well, what really bothered, well, yeah, as Bryson would say, it was very okay. But what really bothered me about it is like they're like, oh, this robot has some kind of sentience. Let's pit fight it.
Yeah, it's like
Never go back. Oh, hey, should we like even mention the point that this thing might be a free thinking being? No.
God no.
That cage.
Oof. Put it in the cage.
Kill your
against-
brother, machine.
Exactly.
There's a PS4 game that's based on that, actually.
What, Real Steel?
Was it
No.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots?
Detroit.
I would put
Oh.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots the game.
It's
That's
based off of a tech demo they did a while back. It's from the same people who did Heavy Rain.
Bryson, you're a
Oh.
tech demo.
That doesn't make any sense, and you know it.
I'm not
In
sure
the
that I
tech
do it
demo,
more.
they had an android that was getting quality tested by a guy.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's,
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think I did see this too. Actually.
yeah. It's like the Blade Runner thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of, is there a Blade Runner test in Fallout 4?
It's the goat test from the beginning of Fallout 3.
Oh,
And
that's,
they kind of use it as a Blade Runner test with the synths. Hopefully, that's not a spoiler that upsets anyone.
I know I heard about it.
It doesn't
that's-
really. It's yeah. There's
I
this
am-
kind of
That
little-
makes. I mean, that doesn't really spoil anything, and I haven't got that far.
Okay, well, see,
I know
Bryson-
there's synths. I know what the
need
goat
to
is.
finish the game. I haven't done that yet because I got stressed out by the
I've
game.
only finished it with 2 storylines so far, so I really need to up my game.
I rarely finish the Bethesda game.
Like, now, see, now, if we're going to talk about some Fallout here, we're going to talk about some Fallout here.
We can talk about Fallout. That was podcast 1, and I will continue to talk about Fallout.
There is always more Fallout. Oh, let's, I don't know. How long's that game been out now? Almost a month?
It was
Has it?
November 7th.
November 10th.
Wow,
Or 10th.
Yeah.
it's been almost a month.
Yeah, so all right. It's been almost a month. If you haven't finished it now, it's you two, but probably the rest of the world's game. But
I haven't
so
finished it.
I'm assuming they finished Fallout New Vegas as well. Now, Fallout New Vegas had some great options just as far as story, which I mostly have attributed to Obsidian being a part of it because they know what's going on.
Oh yeah, they know Fallout because
But-
it was Black Isle. That's
Yeah, no, but you do these big world-changing things in all the Fallout games recently, and Fallout 3 you could save them, or you could just be some jerk and blow up a water purifier because you hate life or whatever.
Yeah, that one I don't get the moral choice there. It's like blow
Right.
it up for no gain,
Yeah.
just to be a dick.
Right, yeah, like, oh, I could be awful. Or what, at the end of Broken Steel, you're like, oh, I could launch a tactical nuke at the Citadel. The people I've, like, fought with side by side and lived with for all this time.
For no other reason than to be a dick.
It just, I don't like them no more.
Right. I think that's actually Fallout 3, all of the moral choices are be a good person
Yeah,
or be a dick for
just,
no good reason.
I just want to burn it all.
Like Fallout New Vegas actually had the weight behind, like, at the end, do you want to give it to the Legion, kind of be a dick? I mean, they're not the worst thing in the world,
Though they're slavers, raping marauders. They're kind of the worst.
but they are the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, no, they're awful. No, that's what I was getting at here, though, is so Fallout New Vegas, you had all these options. There's like, hey, there's these different factions, or you could just push for complete freedom.
Yeah, I did that one.
Exactly, yeah, that's one of my favorite things was free New Vegas, get the yes man going, and I thought that was just a great thing to add because I wouldn't have thought about that option in a game normally.
Yeah, because normally, yeah, it's just choosing between two sides, good or
Yeah.
evil.
And now, even so, Fallout 4 comes along, right? And I hate every faction.
Oh yeah,
It has the Skyrim disease.
I'm doing Brotherhood of Steel. And
No, I'm like, oh, hey, that's the same Brotherhood from Fallout 3. That's got to be good. It is not. Because
No.
that kid, what's Arthur, what's his last name?
Not Pendragon.
That's not Pendra. It's not King Arthur. It's the kid. He was in Fallout 3. He's in charge. He's Elder whatever. Elder Maxim. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
So he's in charge now. And I was like, oh, he really liked Elder Lyons back in the day. He was a good guy. And he is the opposite for some reason.
Yeah, apparently, like, if you talk to everyone, like, Elder Lyons was a piece of shit, and this guy's awesome.
You guys all loved him. I mean, so this guy, he
like
brought the Outcasts back into the fold with the Brotherhood of Steel. Neat. That's cool, because they were just kind of wandering around, never really doing anything. But that's nice. I'm like, okay, so you're making some progress. And he's like, oh, but I hate everyone.
Yeah. He hates
There's
technology.
a strange obsession, like, with everyone blowing up the Institute and the Brotherhood of Steel. I'm like, can we just not?
Yeah.
How about it's like, hey guys, we have the capability of blowing up your blimp. Please leave. And they'd probably be like, oh, that sounds like a better option than having our blimp exploded.
So, okay, I know this has nothing to do with the story for Fallout 4, but did you find the ship that you get the ship cannon, the gun?
Oh, the broadside, yeah, the USS was it Constitution?
Yeah.
Did you go back and do it again?
No,
oh yeah,
because I haven't done it in the
use
first
the
place.
captain's cabin because he can't fit.
Okay, because I haven't done it again.
Yeah, you don't do the whole thing again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably one of the funniest moments in that game.
Right. Another 100 years.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. Like, honestly, because it wasn't Obsidian that made this, because that's
Yeah, no, they have a couple moments. Like there's this little side quest. You find this kid stuck in a refrigerator who's apparently been stuck there since the bombs dropped. So he's been in a refrigerator for 200 years. He's a ghoul.
Oh, he's a little kid.
I don't know how the kid's sane, first off, because someone would lose it being locked in a refrigerator. And I thought ghouls have to eat.
Yeah, no food, no water.
Yeah, no, and he doesn't go feral or anything. But okay, so some miracle, this child survived in a refrigerator for 200 years. So his last name's Jones or whatever. But so then you let him out, and he's like, oh, let's go find my parents. And I'm like, hey, kid, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here, right? But
your parents are dead.
They're probably dead. And then I had Nick Valentine with me. He's like, hey, whoa, you can't just say that to the kid, boy. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just realistically, I don't know how he's alive. And then so I'm like, all right, we'll go to your house. We'll go to your house. And Deathclaws pops out of everywhere because, the wasteland hates me.
Oh, yeah, and Deathclaws are the devil.
So we get to the kid's house, and his parents are both there as ghouls. And I'm like, oh.
What luck.
And that was another very Obsidian moment in the game.
Yeah.
But no, I love this game. The story pains me.
Well, that's the thing. I really enjoyed it up until I started doing the story.
Yeah, no, the exploration's great. The controls are nice.
They're really
it's
good.
Beautiful.
It is really good.
I'm hoping because they kind of retconned Fallout 3 with the Broken Steel.
Yeah.
A little bit. So maybe they'll tweak or even just make the Minutemen an actual faction worth something.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what one of the factions I was hoping I could kind of get behind because that
You
was
can sort of because you have to team up with the Railroad.
yeah.
But
That-
even then, the Minutemen are like, "Hey, let's destroy the Institute and blow up the Brotherhood of Steel's blimp." And I'm like, "Whoa, what?
Whoa! Hang on now.
Yeah, you guys are sane. What's going on here?"
You were saying up until right that point, right?
Yeah, and then they're like, "Blow it up." Like, so I don't know if they had bigger plans for this, and they're like, "Oh, well, let's not do that. Let's have them just suddenly become like militaristic monsters."
Yeah, because they were all peaceful. It's like let's
Yeah, they
just
were
band
decent.
together
Like,
and
we're just
help.
trying to help everyone, and I think like making peace with the Brotherhood of Steel would be a better option. Because let's not go to war with the men in robot suits.
Yeah, I'd say that there a lot of the Brotherhood of Steel's hearts in the right place. They're just extremely misguided.
Yeah, no, I mean, like the synths. I get for them in the Institute. They're like, oh, they're not people. I'm like, what about the ones that are kind of people?
Yeah,
Like
Nick Valentine.
Nick Valentine. He's with me, and he's like, I'm right here. I'm like, I know you are. I'm right there with you, man. Like, you're a better person than most of the people.
Who's he voiced by?
He's different because he was they'd scanned a detective's brain before the bombs, and he's just an imprint of that.
Yeah.
So I can see how that's somewhat different, but then you have like there's one chick named Glory in the Railroad who's just trying to help other synths. I'm like, okay, yeah, so that makes sense. They're nuts too, so I'm gonna push
just
that.
to clarify, basically they're taking people and printing them and turning them into synths, basically.
No, they only did that with the one guy. He was like a prototype, and they only did it once.
Oh, okay.
From what I've gathered and what I've read up on.
Because I haven't really progressed too far into the main storyline. I got to the point where I caught up with Kellogg, and that was about it.
Yeah, that guy
I got his gun, and I'm like, awesome, I'll go do other stuff.
Nice 44. So I also, another little quick qualm I have here with Fallout 4. They have these little weapon abilities, which are neat, because you get the randomized like legendary drops. But I got an unending 44 Magnum.
What is unending?
Unending means it never reloads. However much ammo you have, it can fire. My laser rifle? Okay, maybe I have a backpack full of batteries, and that's how that's rocking. How do you have just an ever-firing 44 Magnum?
Magic.
It must be magic. Like, every time I fire, it just refills the bullet with, like, dark magic.
Because
future 2077 technology.
I guess.
I don't.
Has anyone noticed the lack of that gun they've had in every other Fallout game?
That yes.
Yeah.
But if you look at the 10mm, it kind of looks like that gun.
A little bit, but it's not quite the Deckard. Oh no, it's not Deckard Cain. Deckard Cain's Diablo.
Yeah.
What was Harrison Ford's character?
Cain sounds kind of like.
Okay, no, I know it sounds like your mom. It's fine, but what was Harrison Ford's character's name in Blade Runner? I cannot believe I can't think of this right now.
Deckard.
It's Deckard, right? Yeah.
I don't know the last name.
Bryson. Why? All right, I'll look it up.
I'd look it up, but
thing.
you'd hear it.
Sure.
You'd hear the ka-chunks of me looking it
That's
up.
because you have a mechanical keyboard for whatever reason.
I like my keyboard.
Yeah, mine's actually just an old like 1920s typewriter. So.
What is your name? Rick Deckard.
Oh, okay. I guess it was just Deckard. All right, so
yeah, it was just Deckard.
There's 3 super sci-fi nerds failing miserably at the most basic of cyberpunk.
Yeah, I don't think they ever even said his first name.
Never watched the movie, so.
What?
It's on my Netflix queue, but I haven't gotten around to it in like 5 years.
All right, so Bryson will be leaving us right now. He has something he has to take care of.
Right, that ending monologue was probably...
Oh my god, stars dying. Oof. Shivers.
I have to go back to the other thing I was doing.
Watching
Seriously masturbating?
Oh.
No. Buzz and me were playing on live.
Buzz and I
think he's probably playing with Kyle at this point.
Oh, what are they playing?
Destiny.
Destinos.
Oh, Kyle got Destiny?
Yeah.
He's not on yet, but...
Buzz bought it for him.
Wait, what?
Buzz bought it for him.
Oh, we'll make sure he does the refer a friend thing.
To you?
No, to Buzz, he bought it for him.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take it, but...
I'll text him.
Yeah. So this is the part of our podcast that we edited out because we were talking about Destiny.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this so I know where it is.
Good job. Proud of you, buddy.
Imagine I'm spinning. Bryson, can you make it so I'm spinning glow sticks in post?
Probably, but I'm not going to put
Say
that
yes,
enough.
Gord.
I'm not going to put that much effort into this.
Okay, okay.
Literally, normally for these, cut off the top, cut off the bottom, and then render it out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anywho, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, I just kind of want to, since we have the owner of the company here, and I figured, we talk about the company because I keep vaguely hinting at what we do. I figured I'd have the official man here to tell you, the audience, what we're actually all about here at Tower Wizard. That's you, Scott.
Oh, I zoned a little on that. Yeah, no. So we are a long line of almosts and nearly theirs. That's
Truth.
that's our story.
Almost made video games.
We almost made video games. We had the story, we had the layout, we had the art assets, and then no programmers came through.
Yep.
Then we almost made a couple more video games, and we thought, oh, we'll switch to mobile. And we had everything ready for a mobile game. Programmers fell through, at which point we basically decided, let's just make a card game.
We don't need programmers for a
No
card
one has
game.
to program a card game here. It's just us drawing, which we are behind on. But
I can't help with.
no, you're right. So we decided we'll make some board games and we'll poke around on the internet and hopefully people feel like playing or listening to one of those.
Yeah. And that's pretty
You know,
much.
the goal. Let's just make some fun, easy to get into games.
Hopefully.
Joke around with the world. And then really hope someone pays us to do any of it.
Yeah.
That's the big one. So if you're hearing this and hate your money, we'll take it.
I'll definitely take your money.
We'll give you cards and pictures of necromancers.
I'll tell you that you're a piece of shit and you should give me more.
Not even helping that he wouldn't do that.
Try me.
For $10, we'll buy the ball gag to put in Justin's mouth.
For $10 more, I'll wear it.
Support your local PBS station.
for viewers like you.
Brought to us by viewers like you.
Viewing you right now.
All right. Yeah,
I think that's fun. I think that's about time. I think I've started to get kind of weird. I haven't slept in a long time.
Yeah. We'll hopefully be able to talk about some RPG stuff we want to do soon.
Yeah.
We got a possible little kind of board deckish building thing that would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's practical, but we'll give it a shot, see if there's interest.
Yeah.
So, thank you between 11 and 20 viewers of this audio experience.
Yeah, this audio
experience. It's a beginning.
You're a beginning of dumb.
Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Right? I know who I want to take me home. It's closing time, because it's the end. Get it?
Is that about pooping?
No, it's about a bar closing and like the end of an era. And all right, let's.
Pretty sure every new beginning.
Say goodbye, I think, because we're gonna go forever otherwise. Like, no, you hang up first.
You hang up.
You hang up first.
No, you.